nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to 420.
I got special powers. Wow. I got special powers. I got special powers. I got special powers. I got special powers. Wow. From eating precious flowers. I got special powers. From eating precious flowers. I use EMT to alter my ego. I don't need a placebo. My third eye's fully activated and now I see through the keyhole. I'm giving them tantric energy, I've got a high libido. When I'm making love on magic mushrooms, I feel like a hero. I've got special powers, from eating precious flowers. I'm throwing flaming fireballs to all the jealous cowards. I got special powers, from eating precious flowers. I know herbalism, I'm verbalism, I work the rhythm, then burn a big un. I don't like journalism, I murder rhythm with words of wisdom. I just kill him with kindness, cough and give him a virus. I'm so sick of this violence, but I'm not living in silence. I've activated my sixth sense, it's overwhelming, it's intense. If there's negative energy in the room, I'm burning my incense. Herbalism is human rights, and I've got plants in big tents. I'm just talking truth and facts, and all I do is spit sense. My music's full of actual facts, the truth is undeniable. My content is true and factual, and my flow is so reliable. I'm consuming magical plants, piss me off, I throw a fireball. There's so many strings of psychedelics, I wanna go and try them all. Don't talk shit to me, you might go missing and vanish in Wales. I'm just giving them facts, I'm not giving them magical tales. I'm not giving them myths, I'm just giving them truth. They lied to us, that's why I tell the truth to the youth. I've got special powers, from eating precious flowers. I'm throwing flaming fireballs to all the jealous cowards. I got special powers, from eating precious. I use DMT to alter my ego. I don't need a placebo. My third eye's fully activated and now I see through the keyhole. I'm giving them tantric energy, I've got a high libido. When I'm making love on magic mushrooms, I feel like a hero. My bollocks weigh a kilo, I'm not your average MC though. I don't like toxic people, talk to him but don't talk to me though. Please don't piss me off you cunts, my tolerance is on zero. I hope you catch malaria from a dirty mosquito. I'm so supernatural, my words are true and factual. I've got liquid DMT, I dare you do a casual. Show no fear, don't be scared, it's medicine, it's practical. When you leave your physical body, I'll be there to catch you fall. Because the truth is hidden, my words are too forbidden. I believe in superstition, I don't do consumerism. Living in nature, that's great, so that's my new religion. I'm going off grid very soon, I'm gonna be self-sufficient. Wow, I got special powers. 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 We live inside the simulation.
Uostarosta.
Huh.
Uostarosta.
What's he doing? That's odd. I'm sure I can fix it. I think.
There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the mud zone.
Spooky.
Wanna get high? Wanna get high? Wanna get high? Wanna get high?
Ho, ho, ho.
The world is flat. I'm here to ring the alarm with my puppet like charm, straight from the barn. I'm talking about Flat Earth Farms, cause most don't know. They think we live on a globe, a ball that floats. So listen and take notes, and take it to a higher plane. Imagine yourself in all it contains, in all its glory, and Flat Earth Farms can take you there. Open your mind outside the box. No more staring at NASA's Photoshop. No more moon landings, no lying to ya. No more people standing backwards in Australia. Just facts and pure truth, planning straight to the roots. Flat Earth Farms help you understand. A magical place on a wondrous land.
The world is flat, and that's a fact. Tell your friends next time you chat. Let them know a ball ain't that. Let's stay playing with the baseball bat. Cause we coming at the barn, a higher place, the Flat Earth Farm.
This could be it, Harry. Pass the word along. Tell the men it's time to shoot the moon. Shoot the moon!
What are we gonna do tonight, Singe Man?
The same thing we do every night, Boston Ray. Try to take over the world.
The world of science cares about you. Eureka! We found it. With the tools of science, we have invented, yes, hand sanitizer. But not just any hand sanitizer. This hand sanitizer was developed and approved by the Dark One himself. Here are a few of the things our product can bring you.
Bow wow run, he's my mighty puppy. Sir bow wow run, he's my mighty puppy. Sir bow wow run, he's my mighty puppy. Sir bow wow. Mud. You slept. Warning, the self-destruct system has been activated. Option to override self-destruct expires in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Listen, it's drum and bass. Wow. Anything is possible. Yeah. Lately I've been feeling downloads, so I swallow 5 grams while the music downloads. Magic mushrooms and psychedelic toads. All I really wanna see is isometric codes. I need to be alone, I need more space. I judge myself, fuck a court case. Lately I've been noticing my portraits, and now I see the bigger picture when I'm painting portraits. But I don't wanna talk about it, I don't like debating. Life's too short, I got no time for hating. I'm looking for some solitude, I'm isolating. I need space, bear with me, I'm just hibernating. I'm in a bad place, I don't know how I'm coping. I'm microdosing just to get some oxytocin. I'm overdosing, DMT is comatosing. Literally you die and leave your body, I'm not joking. Have you ever seen the universe exploding? Have you ever seen your astral body floating? Have you? No, I didn't think so. I'm not your average human being, I'm not boasting. But I can feel it, greatness is approaching. I'm manifesting it, I don't believe in hoping. I'm still learning, my superpower's loading. Isometric frequencies of life, they need the coding. I'm an introvert, that's why I don't socialize. Everyone is parasitic, so it's no surprise. I don't believe in gossip, it's a load of lies. What you see is what you get, it's no disguise. When I close my eyes, I'm seeing sacred visions. The only reason I make music is to make them listen. Everything I say is original, no plagiarism. And if they don't believe me, I will make a wager with them. My content is monstrous, my flow's rare. But don't ask me any questions, don't go there. Everyone is trapped, we ain't going nowhere. Petrified, everyone is so scared. I don't care, I'm careless, I couldn't care less, in all fairness. I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's a curse having this type of awareness.
We're live. Let me see. Oh,
Really?
I think so. How you doing?
What are we doing that for?
I have no idea why we're here and how we got here.
Why are we live?
What's the meaning of life?
Hail, warriors!
Who do we got here? Let's see who we got.
Hail, warriors! This is Sparta.
Angela.
And did you know? Here in Sparta,
No. Yeah, go ahead.
we kick the messenger into the well.
West Flat Earth. Thanks, Angela. Thank you, Angela.
I don't know what that means.
Yes, I have a new baby. I do. He's awesome. Christopher.
Christopher. Yeah, I'll turn this down. Is that good volume?
It was amazing, Steffi.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was
volume?
tremendous. It was wonderful. It was the calm before the storm. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, I'll vote for you. I like the way you talk. You're really convincing.
I think Brian's here too. Yeah. My mic's low. Oh, I know why. Thank you, Brian. Ooh. Boom, baby.
I knew Brian was going to be here. Boom, baby.
With the
I have no clairvoyant
Looked up-
abilities. Sorry.
From playing music the other night, so I would have just been low the whole time. I would have never even checked. I would have rookie amateur hour, rookie mistake. So yeah. So I left my body like once or twice, 3 times maybe. It can happen. What do you got to say about this, Singe?
I don't know. I'm a snake oil salesman. So I might just make you think that I'm psychic.
I'm not a
Because I
psychic.
know what you're thinking about right now. You want some coffee.
Well, yeah, I do want. How did you
know that?
How did you know that? Wow, you're blowing my mind, Singe.
So I think that I don't know. There's premonitions. Okay, I've heard some crazy premonitions. Been witness to crazy premonitions. People like don't get in that car; it's gonna crash. It crashed. Stuff like really like what? How? Because they dreamed it. And the next morning they're like, "Wait, that's what I dreamed." Okay, so that's happened, but not to me.
Yeah.
All these things I've viewed, I've seen.
It makes me think about deja vu, Singe. Like, you know how you get the feeling that is that because you dreamed it and you don't remember that you had that in a dream, or is it because
past life? Maybe
past
I always
life,
think that's past
soul
life.
memory. Do you think your soul has memory? Because this is what I think, right?
Oh,
so like,
were you gonna be like, what's your name, Ivana
Go ahead.
Bronovich, and store your soul into your computer?
I hope not.
They
But
call
yeah,
that
so-
soul memory.
I hope not. But yeah, so it's like
Maybe we did
you
already.
completely threw me off track. You completely threw me off
What
track.
if we did that already?
No, it's like this, right? All right. So when we're in this meat suit that we're in, we have the brain, right, which we remembers everything, right? Because like we're in the body, we're in our bodies, and we remember everything, right? But like, you know, maybe you die and you come back, like people who believe in reincarnation and stuff like that, or you know.
I believe in that.
And when your soul, you know, your energy, your vibration, your soul, your whatever leaves your body and comes back, you come into a different body, right? So therefore you have a new brain.
Exactly.
Probably doesn't remember the old stuff, but there is people that still can remember somehow. There's been cases.
It kind of reminds me of a clone
Yeah.
too. If you were cloned, that would have the same.
I heard about this one story where this little boy remembered being. He was a little boy. He was like 7, 8, 9 years old. He remembered being in like the war, like World War I or World War II, and he was a fighter pilot, and he remembered his plane being like blown up and exploding in fire, in the air, and like they looked up. He remembered his name, his old name, and the kid was like 8 or 9 years old, and they looked it up, and there really was a dude with that name that got killed in a war in the war.
Oh, okay. I didn't know we were going to talk about past
It
life.
was legit. You know what I'm talking about? You ever heard that? You ever seen that story?
No, but I know a couple stories like that. Past life.
Yeah.
There's a word for it. So you can go into your past life. I did it, and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But I only went into one.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you've been alive for 12 centuries.
Past life regression. Yes, that's a good way of putting it, because
you lived like
if you can remember a little bit or retain some of the skills. Oh yeah, I think your personality might stay pretty much the same too as you go through these things, because you're you. I mean, you're going to change and grow, but you're still going to be.
I think when women are pregnant, when women are pregnant, they get a little bit of the baby's personality for some reason, and then after
that makes complete sense.
And then after they have the baby, they go back to normal because now like everything's cool. It's weird.
That makes complete sense. A lot of people have had like operations to get something out of their body, and they find out it was another human, and they've carried it around.
Yeah,
you know about that?
I've heard about that. Yeah,
there's a name for that too.
Yeah, there's a name for it. Yeah, it's a big name. You looking it up? All right, so
yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Let's look at the show notes.
It's gonna be hard to look it up.
Clairvoyant remote viewing. The U.S.
Yeah, let's get back on track here. Yeah,
let's talk about clairvoyant. Keep it on track. Keep it on track. Clairvoyant remote viewing. The U.S.
This one can go anywhere though.
Psychic. Yeah, we can go anywhere with this. Psychic spying. What's that all about, Cinch? Were they spying? Was the psychic spying on you?
The mind control government uses that to their full extent. Yeah, obviously, the MK Ultra type thing, and actually, they actually hire people though too. They don't just MK Ultra them. They actually hire clairvoyants, and out of what do you call it? What was the other one? Remote viewing.
Remote viewing.
There's even a movie.
Max Vision's a remote viewer. I was trying to get him. Nancy, Page Max Vision, get him on here. All right, go ahead.
There's a movie, Men Who Stare at Goats. It's about that, but we are men who stare at boats.
Yeah, we do with the P1000.
Yes, boom. There you go.
Boom, baby.
Yeah, Men Who Stare at Goats is all about that, and it's kind of a weird show. I just remembered that.
So what I'm asking you though is,
what were you asking me?
Was the government psychically spying on you or something? What is this clairvoyant remote view in the U.S. sponsored psychic spying? What's that all about?
Right. I mean, like,
should I look it up?
There's the abilities of clairvoyance is to insert your thoughts into someone else's thoughts, or like a radio.
Yeah.
Like a Wi-Fi.
Yeah. What is it? Go ahead.
To where you can talk back and forth. There's ones where you could, and then, you're hearing voices in your head. Let's give you this. And that'll make you sleepy. Here, take some more. As soon as you wake up.
Let's see what I get on this. Yeah.
So we'll avoid that subject, but yeah.
Whoa. Look at this. This was like Wikipedia.
I mean, the government actually, there's what's called the secret. The
Stargate project.
Would you like to hear about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll read. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'll look something up if you want me to.
No, I got the Stargate project on the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, go.
The article is about the U.S. government project on psychics. For other uses, see Stargate. Yeah, whatever. Stargate project was a secret U.S. Army unit established in 1978. Yeah, it was. In Fort Meade, right there, Maryland. That's what Maryland is. By the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, and the SRI International. It's an American nonprofit scientific research institute, an organization headquartered in Menlo Park, California. So all these people come together to investigate the potential for psychic. A psychic is a person who claims to use extrasensory perception (ESP) to identify information hidden from normal senses, particularly involving telepathy or clairvoyance, or who performs acts that are apparently inexplicable by natural laws such as psychokinesis, teleportation. Potential for phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications. The project and its precursors and sister projects originally went by various code names. That used to be my nickname in high school. Gondola Wish, Stargate, Grill Flame. Yeah, they called me that too. Grill Flame. Center Lane. Yeah, I was called that for a little while. They called you Project CF, Singe. Sunstreak and Skinate. Just Skinate. Just Skinate. Just get
They
out of
called
here.
me maintainer of the ways.
Until 1991, when they were considered consolidated and re rechristened as Stargate Project. Stargate's project work primarily involved remote viewing. Remote viewing is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject. Purportedly sensing with the mind, typically a remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, event, person, or location that is hidden from physical view. And so these people can see like far away. They can travel. The purported ability to physically see event sites information from a great distance. The project was overseen until 1987. Lieutenant Frederick Holmes Skip Atwater, his name was Skip, an aide and psychic headhunter to Maj, General Albert, whatever, later president of Moreau Institute. The unit was a small scale, comprising of 15 to 20 individuals, and was run out of an old, leaky wooden barracks. Stargate Project was terminated and declassified in 1995 after a CIA report concluded that it was never useful in any intelligence operation. Information by the program was vague and included irrelevant and erroneous data, and they were suspicious of interjudged reliability. The program was featured in the 2004 book and 2005 The Men Who Stare at Goats. So the CIA and DIA decided they would investigate and know as much about it as possible. It says here, information in the United States on psychic research in some foreign countries was poorly detailed. They're trying to say it's disinformation from the Soviet Union. Were approved by all right, the select committee level. Work results were reviewed and remote viewing was attempted with the results being kept secret from the viewer. It was thought that if the viewer was shown they were incorrect, it would damage the viewer's confidence and skill. So they would just keep it, they wouldn't let them know if they were right or wrong. This was standard operating procedure throughout the years of military domestic remote viewing programs. Feedback to the remote viewer of any kind was rare. It was kept classified in secret. Remote viewing attempts to sense unknown information about places or events. Normally it was performed by that guy. No, it's performed to detect current events, but during military and domestic intelligence applications, viewers claim to sense things in the future. Experience and precognition is purported psychic phenomenon of seeing or otherwise becoming directly aware of events in the future.
Yeah, it's like premonition. It's almost the
Precognition, yeah. Yeah, premonition, yeah, it's almost the same. Yeah, you're right.
same. I've witnessed it, and it's like, I was gonna say that stuff really never happens to me though. I'm just like bullheaded or something, but I believe it.
Dude, look, this research they went through the 70s with it. Look, at the 80s, look. In 1970, United States intelligence sources believed that the Soviet Union was spending 60 million rubles annually on electronic harassment, electromagnetic torture. Look, psychotronic torture is a conspiracy theory. No, it's not.
How many rubles you got? How many rubles you got right now?
How many rubles do you got?
Not much.
How many? In response to claims of that Soviet program had produced results, the CIA initiated funding on a new program known as Skin 8. So just Skin 8 in the same year. Just get out of here, Skin 8. Remote viewing. RV is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject purportedly sent in the mind. Typically, a remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, event, person, or location that is hidden from physical view and separated at a distance. Research began in 1972 at Stanford in Menlo Park, California. Russell, this guy too, Arnold E. Putoff.
Wow, he looked like a friendly character.
Russell Targ. I used to go to high school with him. Of the research said the minimum accuracy rate of 65% requires often exceeded in later experiments. Physicists Russell Targ and Harold Putoff began testing physics for SRI in 1972, including one who would later become an international celebrity, Israeli Uri Geller. Their apparently successful results garnered interest in the U.S. Department of Defense. Ryan Hyman, professor of psychology at University of Oregon, was asked by the Air Force psychologist Lieutenant Colonel Austin Kibler, then director of behavioral research at DARPA, to go to SRI, investigate. He was specifically evaluate Geller. Hyman's report government was that Geller was complete fraud. And as a consequence, Targ and Putoff lost their government contract to work further with him. So they said it was bullshit. Of course they did. In the 80s, they did Insacom Center Lane in 1983, 84. They did it again. Then they did it in the 90s. And they closed it in 95. All right. That's what I'm getting out of that. I'm not going to keep reading. What else do we got here? Look at this. A new look inside the CIA's program. Oh, well, I'm not sharing no more. I'll get to it.
So how do you like to flash laser beams in a Fibonacci sequence and atoms inside a quantum computer? Is that what your hobby is lately?
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I thought, because that's the way I think they have now discovered that you have two separate time waves inside. Say okay, we'll have to discuss it later. But hey, more pseudoscience, yeah.
A new look in
real.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. A new look inside the CIA's program to train psychic spies.
2 dimensions.
Look, that's what that's what psychic spies look like, dude. I'm just messing with you.
I believe it.
I believe it. The CIA is bound by law to declassify all records that are older than 25 years. In the past, these records can only be accessed in a single place, the National Archives in Maryland. However, thanks to a lawsuit by the nonprofit Muck Rock, those records are now uploaded to the internet and enjoy the comfort in your own home. Those records contain a few references to Sunstreak, a secret military unit that investigated paranormal powers throughout the set. Oh, this is another one, Sunstreak. Sunstreak went by many different names and was referred to in the CIA databases. Oh, Stargate, same thing. All right, same thing. Do we want to hear what this guy has to say? No. Oh, look, here's the CIA document.
Maybe for a second, but
let's see. That's the CIA document, though. Hold on. Let's see. Approved release CIA background project. Look, it looks like a CIA document. Look, describe the container used to store the document. Describe the building in which the document is stored. Describe the room in which the document is stored. That's what they made them do. They were looking for documents.
Okay, right. That totally reminds me of all the 1960s gate things. And that movie, Men Who Stare at Boats Going Over the Horizon.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, let's see what...
Warnings from the past materialize in the present and the future. Oh, wait. Okay, so that's clairvoyance.
Telepathy.
Telepathy.
So
in the government.
Go ahead.
Right, I mean, if you had an evil mind, we would try everything. So that's one thing they should use. And admittedly, let's see if I can find a job for that, like legit job. All right. What do you got next? Are we gonna take a break?
Telepathy.
No.
Telepathy. Telepathy. Hold on, I'm getting it.
Oh, telepathy.
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 Telepathy. Telepathy. You say
Right.
potato.
I've heard it said voice.
Telepathy is the purported vicarious transmission of information from one person's mind to another. So it's like communicating without you can hear the other person's thoughts, I guess. Yeah.
And vice versa, you can put your thoughts into their minds, like a voice.
Let's do it this way so I don't have to keep bouncing around.
Or, yeah. No,
telepathy.
Hmm?
You see it? Is it on the screen?
Stargate Project, you're right, that comes right up.
The time when the U.S. conducted telepathic experiments. Let's check this out. The time. The time when the U.S. at Fort Meade. It's the same thing we were just talking about, I think. Conspiracy theories about secret government investigations into seemingly science and fictional phenomena are a dime a dozen.
Clear scene is what
clairvoyance for nearly 20 years beginning. Yeah, this is the same thing. Look.
Clairvoyance is French.
Psychoenergetics for use in military, and it's all a matter of public record. With $20 million. So it was $20 million for this Stargate project. And that's where it was done at.
That's great. Someone made a bundle off of just sitting around and playing.
Look, a typical Stargate experiments, physics personnel were asking to do things like access and describe locations such as the U.S. Library of Congress, a distant lighthouse, and Stonehenge.
So it's like X-Men, right? Your special power.
Yeah. It was like X-Men. Yeah, it was just like X-Men, dude. Or like
you have a special power. Like
Luke Skywalker Jedi Academy.
Aha. Good point.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like martial artists, kind of like Zen, one with the universe, kind of Matrixy thing, right?
Yeah. Well, many of them
that exists. We can see that in day-to-day life. People
look at this. Things. Other assignments included ascertaining the whereabouts of Saddam Hussein during the Gulf War, gathering information about Russian submarine capabilities, and searching for plutonium in North Korea.
I remember hearing about that. And you back then, you just hear it and go, "Oh yeah." But yeah, I remember hearing about that.
There's the sun going around on the flat horizon at Fort Meade. While many inside the project considered it's a success and believed that their findings provided proof of the effectiveness of psychic techniques for military uses, these claims were later refuted, and the CIA destroyed it. That's what happened. It was working out. It was working out for a while, and then the CIA was like, no, we're pulling the plug on this.
Right. If you want a psychic job, you got to just go work for the CIA. And they'll tell you there about it.
Yeah.
You can't really.
Let's see what this is. Let's see if we can. Yeah, we can probably do this. Look at this one. The CIA's experiments with mind control. The CIA's human experiments with mind control.
Yeah, we just saw that. That was awesome.
Have just arrived at Sandoz Laboratories.
Hold on.
One of the world's
you can hear that?
Pharmaceutical factories.
Yes, sir.
Right. The mission:
Sandoz.
corner the market on the world's supply of a powerful psychoactive drug.
The CIA was scared stiff the KGB was going to get all this LSD and come over and start dosing people. So we bought every drop of LSD in existence at that point.
The CIA has just authorized the purchase of
How did they buy it?
Your LSD-25.
They go to all the parks.
They got all the LSD in the world.
States.
They went to all the parks.
They gave it to George White and let George start dosing people.
George Hunter White, a larger-than-life undercover federal narcotics agent. Unbeknownst to his supervisors, White also works for the CIA. His job, to conduct experiments for an operation called Midnight Climax.
Yeah, Midnight Climax. That was my nickname in high school.
CIA safe house stocked with booze, George would sit behind this one-way mirror, drinking martinis, sitting on a portable toilet. If he had to take a leak, he didn't want to get up and leave.
White pays
Singe
prostitutes
Man does
to
that
lure their
too.
clients
I'll
to
be
the
right back.
agency's safe house.
Hookers who would bring these suckers back to the apartment and dose them with pure LSD 25.
Sounds like a plan.
I have my effect in the mind.
This is lysergic acid diethylamide,
Where is this
better
video
known as
playing?
acid. The powerful drug was first synthesized in 1938 in Switzerland. With a dose of mere micrograms, the mind becomes confused. Perception
Whitey.
is
That's
distorted.
Whitey Bulger.
Personal identity is called into question. The results can be euphoric bliss or deadly panic.
Whitey Bulger claimed they injected
White takes meticulous
for the
notes
CIA.
and files his reports to his CIA handlers.
So that
In
was
the
how
1940s.
LSD was introduced to this country.
Operation Midnight Climax is part of a larger top-secret CIA program
There you go.
called MK Ultra.
That's the money
Goal:
shot.
learn how to control and even reprogram people's minds. The CIA believes LSD might hold the key. Over the next 10 years, the agency doses a cross-section of the American public. Everyone from unwitting housewives to soldiers to even criminals like gangster Whitey Bulger is tested.
You know, what the CIA really dreamed of was sort of like a drug you could give to someone, get them to commit all sorts of unspeakable acts, and they wake up the next day and they don't remember what they've done.
They were looking into brainwashing. They were looking into mind control. They were looking into how they could create what they called Manchurian candidates. They were trying to figure out if they could get people to go out and do things that they would ordinarily not do, like assassination.
The case of MK Ultra has to be one of the craziest cases of blowback in CIA history, because here they took this drug, LSD, and thought that they were going to be able to use it to control people's minds. And the unbelievable irony is that LSD is a drug that does exactly the opposite. It frees your mind and causes people to question authority.
Turn on, tune in, drop out.
The CIA's attempt to control people turned out to be just the opposite. It created the counterculture as we know it of the 60s. It was the CIA that introduced LSD to the United States.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Well, he took a break. I need a 2-minute break. So, all right. I'll be back in a second.
Magic mushrooms are now one step closer to becoming an approved treatment for severe depression. New studies show that the active ingredient inside of these psychedelic mushrooms could safely be used to treat depression when given to healthy volunteers.
The trip.
Just last month, the FDA designated that drug as a breakthrough therapy for severe depression.
The trip will do you good.
Swallow this, the trip will do you good. These psychedelic compounds, they're misunderstood. I'm in a forest taking loads of magic mushrooms. I'm not falling over trees, but I'm tripping in the woods. I'm not listening to crooks, cause all they do is lie. Your government are criminals, no one can deny. I never trust a person in a suit and a tie. I do not consent, I do not comply. I don't care, I'll take some DMT and die. I died before already, I'm a psychedelic guy. Methyltryptamine is good for mental health. Yes. The magic mushrooms activate your third eye. Fully activated. They will also activate your brain. Pornography is wrong. Do not masturbate in vain. Don't do it. I won't ejaculate, I'll wait. I'm not lying, no exaggerating, mate.
A new study on so-called magic mushrooms has yielded good results for individuals who are suffering from depression. Now, this was a small study of 12 patients, but it adds to mounting evidence indicating that magic mushrooms could lead to a possible solution for those who are suffering from severe depression.
The trip will do you good.
I got lots of DMT inside my satchel. I got psilocybin crushed up in a capsule. Psychedelic. I'm seeing psychedelic fractals. I'm seeing dragons and I'm seeing pterodactyls. Oh shit. I'm tripping, tapping into all the elements. I've seen a vision of a megalithic settlement. I'm seeing leprechauns and big enormous elephants. I got a photo on my phone, so that's the evidence. I'm a shaman using psychedelic medicine. Ayahuasca is the key, I keep on telling them. And if the mushrooms are powerful and venomous, I don't want a gram, just give me 10 of them. I'm a shaman using psychedelic rituals. It's not a mystery, it's mystical. Big up all my warriors of light. There's 144,000 individuals.
Some families you're born into. Some find each other instead, over morning games. Celebrate.
We are sponsored by whoever that was. All right. I was trying to make a coffee. That's all I'm trying. You hear it? Loud ass fucking coffee machine. All right, who do we got here? Morgan. You should have access to the emojis. See if it lets you put in the special emojis, dude. See if it works, man. Because you got a membership, right? I don't know if you got it on that channel or not, but you got Morgan got 2 memberships. But you should be able to use the emojis that I made, Cinchman made, who we made. All right. What up, Voynick? All right, so we got Voynick, we got Rye Russ, Random Fan. What's up? Angela, boom, baby. No Despair Bear. Wow, we got a lot of people here tonight. Brian. Kate, Emma. What's up? Oh, Bill Miller. I had a precognition experience when I fell off the toilet after putting a blob of RSO in my coffee. How you doing, Bill? How's the hand? All right, anyway, so we have Bill Miller's coming back to the show. He's working on it. He's working his way back. He's working his way back. He's going to be co-hosting shows with me again. I know he is. And then we have, did I say No Despair Bear? Let me see. Rotman. Joe King. Steffi P. And let's see who else we got. Ooh, we had a lot of people. We're doing pretty well. Let's go back to the beginning. All right. So, let me see. I wanted to play this, so while I make my coffee, I'll put this on. This has something to do with it, so it'll be all right. We'll live. We'll make it through this. All right, we're gonna make it through this together. Use the volume on this fucker.
Get object, person, location. Clairvoyance, or as the intelligence agencies have renamed it, remote viewing, is the psychic ability to internally see and obtain information on a given target object, person, location, or event across both space and time. Mystics, shamans, yogis, meditators, out-of-body experiencers, near-death experiencers, psychedelic users, people under hypnosis.
Okay, I'm back. Whoa!
I've
heard this voice before.
Clairvoyance, experiments performed by the CIA, U.S. Army, SRI, and Pear Laboratories. Given proper training, everyone is capable of cultivating the skill of inner vision. Adrian Cooper wrote, "Remote viewing is, broadly speaking, a controlled shifting of awareness performed from the normal waking state of
Well, is it a gift from God?
consciousness, are all part of a collective
Or
mind
is it like
existing beyond the limit.
Well, while I'm thinking of it, while you said that, Singe, right? Okay, so Michelle watches all these like shows about witches and pagans and things like that, and she tells me the pagans were good witches, right? And I'm like, well, it's the old world. It's the way of the old. Like pretty much, like everything goes back to pagan traditions, right? Like the new world is different, the new world order. But before that, so I was thinking about it. They worship nature. That's God to them is the natural order of things, right? And she says to me,
logical?
so I'm like, it goes against the Bible though. It goes against the Bible though, right? All this goes against the Bible. Everything we've been talking about goes against the Bible, right? But the Bible says, like in the beginning,
actually,
God said, "Let there be light," right?
Yeah, exactly.
Boom! The vibration exploded and reverberated and made he spread the sky out like a tent. Like, doesn't that sound like magic?
Sounds like like cymatics. Cymatics is magic, and I believe like cymatics is a model of what you could picture the way
frequenceology 101 class is now in session.
God
Please sit quietly in the back.
God spoke into existence. Done.
Alice
Cymatics.
frequency.
So cymatics create these. I'll show that later. Okay, so
go ahead. Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
Well, I am trying to. What did you just say?
No, I was just reading the comments. Go ahead.
No, I lost it. Okay.
Good job, Cinch. All right, so no, you were saying cymatics. You were saying something about the way God created everything with cymatics. I was listening.
Right. But before that, there was something. But anyway.
All right.
So yeah.
So is it magic? Is it magic?
Is it a gift from God? Oh yeah. What you said.
Is it magic? Did God create the earth using magic?
Right. And there's this thing about the Bible. For every viewpoint, there's an opposing viewpoint. Almost every time you can find something else in the Bible. So,
it always contradicts itself.
Right.
I mean,
I'm
I'm not against it, but it tells you one thing, and then
I'm not against it. I'm just telling you. If anybody says that being clairvoyant is evil, well, we can find a spot in the Bible that says they had a vision of God, or they had a premonition, or he's a prophet and he knew that the rain was coming because God told him. Just like in 2020, I all of a sudden, bam, knew all kinds of stuff. I was like, wait, how do I know this stuff? Download.
You took the download?
I took the download, the good download.
The good download.
And I'm all Mandela affected, yeah.
All right, let's get back to this.
Limitations of physical space and time. Anyone who is focused into this dimension, plane, or state, which is a level of energy or vibration, either permanently or temporarily, can potentially project their consciousness anywhere within time or space in an instant.
Welcome,
viewing
skeptic.
Works therefore by means of the remote viewer projecting or tuning their consciousness into this spaceless and timeless aspect of the universe. The term remote viewing was coined in the early 1970s by Stanford Research Institute's physicists Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff. In their experiments, one person, the agent, would travel to a distant location randomly selected by computer, while another person, the viewer, would attempt to clairvoyantly see and describe where the agent went. In Targ and Puthoff's initial experiments, one Soviet psychic was consistently able to accurately describe several locations, sometimes before the agent arrived, and sometimes before the computer had even made the selection. Throughout 20 years of research, they carried out hundreds of successful tests using several different viewers, and even demonstrated these feats on live television, including on 60 Minutes and The Donahue Show. Russell Targ wrote, "In these carefully controlled experimental tests spanning 2 decades, many different subjects sat in a windowless office, closed their eyes."
You know what? If Bill Miller doesn't come back to the show, If Bill Miller doesn't come back to the show, I'll just upload all the streams we did do from Odyssey onto my new channel and premiere them. And it's the same thing because we did like 1 million streams.
What
and
am I
explore the world
holding, or
outside.
what color is it?
These
or anything
individuals were
about it?
consistently able to experience and accurately describe distant scenes and events from coast to coast and even continent to continent in both present and future time. The SRI experiments demonstrated unequivocal evidence for
It's all right. What did I
extrasensory
say?
perception and the existence of the
You
non-local
can't hear
mind
it?
outside
No,
the
what
brain
is that
and
stuff?
body.
Yeah, I can hear it.
The ability of human awareness to make remarkable connections apparently transcends the conventional limitations of time and space. One day in 1973, Targ and Puthoff were contacted by Burbank, California Police Commissioner
Angela.
Pat Price, who had been closely following their work and wanted to help. Price said that he had been practicing clairvoyance for years and successfully using it in his police work to catch criminals. Whenever dispatch reported a crime, he
Yeah,
would sit
that's
in his
right.
office,
Police use
close
it.
his eyes, and psychically scan the city looking for someone matching the description. Once he pinpointed their location in his mind's eye, he would send out a car to check, and actually succeeded in catching several criminals this way. For Price's first informal experiment
They
at
caught
SRI,
criminals with this.
Targ had him remotely view Puthoff, who was on
About
vacation.
time.
I know,
Sitting
right?
together in Stanford Lab each day, using
They're
Puthoff as
running
the
rampant.
unwitting agent, Price described what he saw, recounting
usually don't
scenes
go
of
after criminals.
churches, market squares, and volcanic mountains,
All right.
all very characteristic of Central America.
Okay.
When Puthoff returned, he confirmed
I'll
that
pause
his
it. Hold
holiday
on.
was
I'll
in
pause it for
Costa
you.
Rica.
Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I was gonna say, Eric, your voice is irritating me. Can you pause for a second?
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I still think.
I love you, Eric, but you're irritating me.
Is that what you're going to say? Is that
Yeah,
why you
that's
stopped?
it.
That's why you stopped the stream? All right, cool. All right. Well, real quick.
But you know
quick,
what? I emulate the sentiment of our crowd because
We'll get back to that.
I also have ESP, so I know that's what they're thinking.
Check this out. So we got some new merchandise. Look, if you use code EARLYBIRD, you get 10% off. Look at this. This is the new designs, guys. Stop glorifying rats. When you think about that, right? And then on the back,
wow, that's
stop
awesome.
snitching. Boom. We got
Wait,
hats.
Stop moving it
we
around.
changed them. Oh yeah, awesome
I wanna
design.
look at it. You keep moving around. Wow, that looks great.
It looks great, Singe. It'll look better too.
We're gonna make it look better.
But
I got some more to it.
Yeah, I got coats. I got stop snitching. Everything, right? Everything. And then
I love Eric too, Angela. Let's make.
Let me see. Is this showing? Is it scrolling? Look, we got
I just
hats.
wanted to break for a minute.
Stop snitching. Everything, right? But there's more. Look, we got the new design. This one's awesome. We got
What's
the
that?
hats.
Adidas?
No.
We can't show Adidas on here. Oh, I
Boss
see.
Stoner Ray, and it's a pot leaf. Adidas sign. Tell me that's not gangster.
That's cool.
Good
Well,
job.
that's
Sid.
gangster.
Good stuff.
That is gangster.
But we have
Love
Boss
it.
Stoner Ray everything, dude. Like everything. Like everything. So I don't make much off this. This is like a couple dollars here and there. But like it still helps. And it where's the Boss? Let me see. Let me see the apparel. Let me get to it. No. That's where I was. What happened to the I made a whole bunch of Boss Stoner Ray stuff, but where is it all? We'll get to it because I want to show it. Oh. No. It's got to be here somewhere, unless it's not showing up yet. Get your shit together, Teespring. All right. No, I ain't there yet. Well, you saw the hat. We got there's shirts too. Hold on. Apparel, drinkware. Let's see if they can show it on the mugs. No, that's weird, dude. It should be there. Well, maybe it'll take time for it to show up. Anyway, it's like that. Boss Stoner Ray. And on the back it says 3's up for Boston, and it's got the 3 on all the shirts. But where are they? They should be there for people to look at them, at least. Like, Jesus. No. Oh, here we go. Let's look at women's t-shirts and see if it comes up. No, not yet. Well, I'll have to figure out why it's not showing up later. But it's there. Hopefully. Maybe they're like, no. They're like, nope, you can't do that. You can't do it. What do you... I can't hear you, Singe. Are you muted?
No. No.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we have the shirts up there too.
Can you hear me?
Why it's not showing up? They'll show up soon.
Can you hear me
just
now?
made them last night. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Can we have patches and stickers?
You can do whatever. What do you want? Patches and stickers? What?
Of
Which
all
one?
that, or of everything.
I need all the designs back though, because I lost like all the old ones. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened. But I put a new memory card in my phone that Mass Accountability gave me, and it finally.
Does Teespring have patches, or just stickers?
I got double the memory I used to have now. What?
Does Teespring have patches or just stickers?
They have stickers. They might have patches. I don't know. They have so much stuff. I didn't have time to make everything.
We can at least get stickers to start. Okay, good. We'll start getting those. That way you can get a cheaper item instead of a shirt.
Yeah, quality's
like $5 or something.
And it's not like this, like Flat Earth Farms, like silk screened or anything. But they're getting better. They are getting.
Yeah, my shirt I've washed several times. It's great. The print's still in there.
It just makes it easier for us because, like, I don't want to have to buy like 1,000 T-shirts and like do it myself. No, and then have to pay for shipping. Forget it. Forget all that. Forget all that jazz. All right.
He had indeed visited churches.
You need patches? All right, I'll make patches tonight, Angela.
Viewed them. Lynn McTaggart wrote, Price took over.
See, this one went to jail.
Hal and Russ underwent 9
and everything, and it's
following their usual double-blind protocol of sealed target spots near Palo Alto.
Yeah, the one that my dad got. I got my dad one, the Boston Ray Mud Flood, with my face on it and everything, with the thing of the mud, the cup of mud, and it hasn't worn off at all yet. And my mom's too. She said that she watched it a bunch of times, a late night live one, like the one that Angela got, kind of. I got one like that for my mom, and she said it hasn't washed off yet. So, I don't know. It's just certain designs, I guess. I haven't checked out the hats. I want to get a hat just to see what it's like.
Nature preserve, a radio telescope, a marina, a toll plaza, a drive-in movie theater, an arts and crafts plaza, a Catholic church, and a swimming pool complex. Independent judges concluded that Price had scored 7 hits out of the 9. In some cases, like the Hoover Tower, Price even recognized it and correctly identified it by name. Price was noted for his incredible accuracy. Through SRI, the CIA got wind of Price's skills and initiated the now declassified projects Grill Flame and Scanate in an attempt to clairvoyantly spy on sensitive targets. Price was given nothing but the latitude and longitude of a remote location and asked to describe all details that he could see. With unwavering confidence, Pat polished his glasses, sat back in his chair, closed his eyes, and began recounting what he saw. It was a military
What, it's faster?
With a few buildings scattered around.
Who did that?
There was a large 8-wheeled gantry set on tracks, a big cluster of compressed gas cylinders at one end, and inside the buildings were masses of steel gores. Price then opened his eyes and drew pictures of the building layout, the cylinders, the gantry, and gores. When the results came back from CIA spy satellites and
that was
intel,
lovely.
It turned out that
the
target
when you
site
did that.
was indeed a Soviet military airfield and nuclear testing area in Kazakhstan.
It's just part of the
building
business.
Layout, cylinders, 8-wheeled gantry, and even the steel gores inside
I don't care.
were all confirmed to be just as
We'll
Price
figure
described.
it out one day.
Sadly, Pat Price died in 1975, but Targ and Putov continued their remote viewing projects, and in 1978 met someone they later described as the greatest natural psychic ever to walk into our laboratory.
That was me.
U.S. Army Special Projects Intelligence Officer Joe McMoneagle. A highly decorated and esteemed soldier, Joe McMoneagle had survived a near-death experience and had many out-of-body experiences, which piqued his interest in remote viewing. He said the experience of leaving and looking down on his own body started.
Yep, that happened to me. Okay, that happened to me. I'm telling the truth. All right, this really happened to me. Okay, Let me explain.
Were you not on drugs, or were you?
I was on drugs. Yeah, I was on. I took some LSD that was from. It was really strong stuff, right? It has like it was like zebra striped or something. It was like it looked like a piece of friggin' notebook paper that someone drew a friggin' magic marker on, and I thought it was fake. I honestly thought it was fake, but it was like it was different than anything I ever took, and I was laughing so hard for so long, and I was sitting next to my friend on the couch, like, and he was laughing his ass off too. We kept smoking, taking bong rips, and then like next thing I know, I laughed so fucking hard that like my body was floating above us, and I was up top just like this, right? And I could see the top of our heads, dude. Like I could see our bodies like sitting on the couch, and I was looking down. And like I started getting freaked out, you know, because I was like, "What the fuck's going on? Like, am I dead?" And then like, next thing I know, it felt like sleep apnea. Like the ceiling was like trying to like suck me in, and I started feeling like I was like piece of the ceiling. Like my back was like becoming like one like a piece of the ceiling. Like, so I don't know what was gonna happen after that, but I started freaking out.
You're high though, but okay.
And I was like, I tried to like push myself back down.
Correct.
I pushed myself back down, and then I was still kind of stuck. And then like 2 minutes later, I just was back in my body.
Okay, so now then we're getting into the realm of the pineal gland, and the third eye, and the sixth sense, which most everyone here probably believes in those things.
Yeah.
Which are definitely on the same level as clairvoyance and ESP, just different type. Synchronicities too might be that. Synchronicities and deja vus.
Yeah. So now what's weird is this though, right? So sometimes when I'm sleeping, I still get that same feeling. Like I'll be asleep, and then right when I wake up, I feel like I fell back into my body. Like I feel myself falling down, and then I wake up. So, you know, I don't know. Like sometimes with these like Mandela effect shifts, these Mandela effect shifts, I think they might happen to me at night when I leave my body and then I come back. I don't know. That's what I've been starting to think about.
Well, that's when I feel like
it's like when like you wouldn't really notice it if you were sleeping. You know, and then the next day you wake up and you're in like a different place somehow.
Oh yeah, it's like I feel
maybe you leave your body. Maybe you leave your body like this, like while you're sleeping, and then when you fall back into it, you're like in a different place, in a different body, but another version of you. Maybe that's how you change places and you shift.
But in every timeline, your nickname was. Whatever. I can't think of one.
No, it was just
in every timeline, your nickname was right. So okay. So basically, you're not the same. I'm not the same. You're talking to someone different because I'm in a different than last night.
I don't know what happened. I mean, is it just like drugs, or is it like real? You know, because some of the shit that I seen was real, and some of the shit was like, oh, I can tell it's the drug.
Him on a psychic journey and forever changed his metaphysics. For his first experiment at SRI, Joe was told only that he would be viewing a technological target within 100 miles of the San Francisco Bay Area, which is full of possible technological locations, such as military bases.
So this is what they say, real quick. They say that like the people that really can do this and leave their body and travel, they don't freak out. You know, when they actually leave their body, they know what to do. You know, if you freak out, then you end up back in your body. And that's kind of like what happened to me. I didn't freak out. Like I was fine, but I was like a little freaked out for a minute because I thought I was dead. I thought I like took too much and I you know, OD'd.
Yeah, it's like drowning. You go, you kind of like
I couldn't breathe. I was having trouble breathing, but it was probably because I wasn't in my body.
Like drowning.
Yeah.
It was weird. You kind of like reach for something, but
the actual target was the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, the famous
I almost drowned when I was 3 years old, and I can remember
by Edward Teller. Without hesitation,
Like it was
Joe
yesterday.
picked up his pencil and began
What
drawing
happened?
what he saw in his mind's
What
eye.
happened to you, Singe?
I fell in a pool at 3 years old, and my sister dove in and got me. But I remember grasping and not being able to grab anything, just like sinking.
Yeah.
Just like it was yesterday, and I was 3.
Yeah, it traumatized you.
The
Yeah, maybe
multi-purpose laboratory
tough.
complex, segmented one-story buildings nearby, the 6-story administration building, a T-shaped building, a cylindrical roofed building, and a large parking lot. When Joe's drawing was finished, it was independently deemed as 85% accurate. Dean Radin wrote, Joseph McMoneagle, remote viewer number 1 in the U.S. Army's formerly top-secret project codenamed Grill Flame, Stargate, and other exotic names, McMoneagle has been repeatedly tested in numerous double-blind laboratory experiments and has been shown to have an ability to describe objects and events at a distance and in the future, sometimes in spectacular detail.
Never mind. I'll remember
in one
in a second.
experiment, all that McMoneagle knew was that a person he hadn't met before would be visiting a technological target at a certain time, somewhere that could be reached within an hour's drive around Silicon Valley in Northern California. The number and range of possible technological targets that one can get to in a short drive around Silicon Valley is gigantic. As it turned out, the target that the person arrived at was a particle beam accelerator, and that's what McMoneagle drew. In perhaps his most impressive viewing session on record, Joe was given absolutely no feedback whatsoever about where the agent would be traveling, and he was able to draw an astonishing resemblance, independently verified as 94% accurate. The target was a windmill farm in the foothills of Livermore Valley, and that's exactly what Joe drew. Multiple wind generators, rotating blades, with poles
I know
scattered amongst
exactly
the
where
hills,
that is.
all connected in a grid. Lynn McTaggart wrote, Human beings,
I'm checking on
talented
that
or
Boston
otherwise,
Array
appear
stuff.
to
That's
have a
weird.
latent ability to see anywhere across any distance. The most talented remote viewers clearly can enter some framework of consciousness, allowing them to observe scenes anywhere in the world. But the inescapable conclusion of their experiments is that anyone has the ability to do this if they are just primed for it. Even those highly skeptical of the entire notion. Hal Puthoff gathered together 9
It's
remote
in the
viewers
middle
in
of
total,
nowhere.
mostly beginners,
Mhm.
with no track record as psychics, who performed in total over 50 trials. Again, an impartial panel of judges compared targets with transcripts of subject descriptions. The descriptions may have contained some inaccuracies, but they were detailed and accurate enough to enable the judges to directly match description with target roughly half the time, a highly significant result. In her 1995 CIA-funded evaluation of all remote viewing experiments conducted since 1970, Dr. Jessica Utz concluded that, quote, using the standards applied to any other area of science, it is concluded that psychic functioning has been well established. The statistical results of the studies examined are far beyond what is expected by chance. Arguments that these results could be due to methodological flaws in the experiments are soundly refuted. Effects of similar magnitude to those found in government-sponsored research at SRI and SAIC have been replicated at a number of laboratories across the world. Such consistency cannot readily be explained by claims of flaws or fraud. In addition to SRI studies, Princeton University's Engineering Anomalies Research Laboratory also conducted 25 years of remote viewing research with 653 trials involving 72 participants, headed up by Dean of Engineering Robert John and psychologist Brenda Dunn. In a 2003 meta-analysis, they summarized their findings regarding the evidence for remote viewing. Their overall assessment showed with odds against chance of 33 million to 1, the results were definitely not due to luck or coincidence. John and Dunn concluded, quote, the overall results of these analyses leave little doubt, by any criterion, that the data contain considerably more information about the designated targets than can be attributed to chance guessing. Dean Radin wrote, in the 1980s, I worked on a top-secret psi research program for the US government, now declassified. At the first research briefing I attended, I was shown examples of high-quality remote viewing obtained under exceptionally well-controlled circumstances. I asked in amazement, why is psi still considered controversial by the scientific mainstream? Why not just conduct an experiment of 20 or 30 trials with this type of remote viewing skill? That ought to convince anyone that psi is real. The answer, explained to me patiently by physicist Ed May, was simple. He said, you're making the rational man mistake. He meant that we usually assume science is a rational process, but it's not. The technical term for one form of this irrational phenomenon is the confirmation bias. This psychological quirk causes evidence supporting your beliefs to be perceived as plausible,
So,
and
I
evidence
was thinking
challenging your
about
beliefs
something
to be
on that.
perceived as
What's up?
implausible.
What's up, Singe?
Studies in social
Is
psychology
that
have repeatedly demonstrated that journal reviewers invariably
so?
judge articles being
We know
submitted
our
for publication
phones and all that
according to
stuff,
their prior.
right?
Yeah.
Our phones listen to us and AI and all that stuff. So now, if you were to utilize those, they would totally be a great tool for them to make it easier with their already professional level because they've been doing it, right? Or natural talent, whatever. The phones and all that stuff is going to totally help them make it way easier. So sometimes, and maybe bots and stuff like that, and chat, all that stuff. Massive amount of tools that they could use to boost, give it a booster to their power.
A booster rooster.
Yeah, to their powers. So what do you think about that? Do you even know what I just said?
Yeah, I was listening. Kind of. All right, you ready?
No, I would like to know what you thought about it, but okay.
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
I don't answer questions. Nah. I don't know, dude. Like
Using technology to boost your psychic abilities.
Like putting a brain chip in your head?
No, like using a phone, using the internet, looking at the internet, going, okay, I see his IP address, I see his telephone number, blah 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 blah. And now we're gonna, so you can use the computer and actual technology as well as the psychic ability. I don't know how you would integrate the two, but they must. I would think that they would try it, maybe with a helmet and goggles.
Yeah,
something like that. Oh, metaverse. Oh, yeah. What do you think about that?
Beliefs. Those who agree with the hypothesis
No
tend to judge a
opinion.
paper reporting
Okay.
positive results as an excellent
No
piece
one's
of work.
breaking out the
And those who
firmament.
disagree judge the very
Oh,
same
well, I'd
paper
like you to
as a
play
flawed
off
failure.
that.
Wow.
Former
Okay.
referees recommend publication, and the latter don't.
Okay.
The final
That's
decision
not
is
what
left
I
up
was
to the
looking
editor.
for.
So if the editor doesn't happen to agree with the paper's hypothesis, then there's a good chance it won't appear in the journal. And then the evidence doesn't exist as far as the rest of the scientific community is concerned. The ability of remote viewing raises some interesting questions and serious objections regarding the scientific materialist paradigm. Traditionally, science has explained the miracle of sight as a purely material process taking place in the eyes and brain. However, this obviously conflicts with the research done at SRI and PEAR. Anyone trained in remote viewing, or anyone who has experienced out-of-body travel and witnessed looking down upon their own sleeping body, would have to agree
There you
there
go.
must be something much more
Looking down on your own sleeping body.
mystical and immaterial responsible for vision. Life magazine once featured Rosa Kuleshova, a Russian girl who could read perfectly clearly using her fingertips. The Russian Academy of Science tested her repeatedly under controlled conditions and concluded that her abilities were genuine. Italian doctor Cesare Lombroso wrote about a blind patient who could see using her earlobe. Harvard doctor David Eisenberg even
a blind patient could see using her earlobe.
Published an article about 2 Chinese girls who can read using their armpits.
Read
Michael
using
Talbot
their
wrote,
armpits.
Despite our unwavering conviction that we see with our eyes, reports persist of individuals who possess eyeless sight, or the
Eyeless
ability
sight.
to see with other areas of their bodies. Recently, David Eisenberg, MD, a clinical research fellow at the Harvard Medical School, published an account of 2 school-age Chinese sisters in Beijing who can see well enough with the skin in their...
It reminds me of playing guitar. It's like sometimes I don't even have to, most of the time, I don't even look at what I'm doing. My fingers just remember.
Armpits to read notes and identify colors. In Italy, the neurologist Cesare Lombroso studied a blind girl who could see with the tip of her nose
I play guitar with my eyes closed sometimes.
and the lobe of her left ear. In the 1960s, the prestigious Soviet Academy of Science investigated a Russian peasant woman named Rosa Kuleshova who could see photographs and read newspapers with the tips of her fingers, and pronounced her
Well,
abilities
yeah, you should know
genuine.
how your instrument
Now,
feels.
because every part of a hologram contains the whole,
I know how
After a
it
couple
sounds.
years,
I know how it sounds. I know how it feels.
the hand, toe, knee,
Yep, after a
has the
couple
ability
years,
to
you
pass
get-
frequency
Yeah, you get
patterns
to
to
know
the
it.
brain, which it transforms into holograms that we can see. This means that people really do have their backsides.
There's
I have
some
heard
parts
some
where I
people
have
speak
to
of being able
look
to see 360 degrees.
change, but don't
you
fluff
have
up.
you have
and hit
eyes
the
in your
other
back.
thing. I
You have
gotta
eyes
look.
in your backside.
Degrees when they have
You know,
entered all
sometimes you
different
gotta be
states of
direct and
consciousness
look
that
so you
make
don't
them more
fluff.
attuned to these
Actually
senses
hit the
by
other thing.
withdrawing
But then
their
you can go
focus
back
from the
to not
5 sense
looking. Yeah.
consensus reality. All this is perfectly explainable from the holographic perspective.
All right, let's see what else we got here. All right. Woo. Moving right along.
Yeah, so we got
Yeah.
pineal. Everybody knows about the pineal gland. Sixth sense.
There's a. I guess there's a Kentucky. Feeling. There might be a. I see something about a Kentucky meetup.
What about your gut feeling?
Right, go ahead, Brian. Yeah. What's going on? Go ahead. I just got a little distracted.
I just said it. I want to say it again.
Listen, you want to see something cool, dude?
Everybody heard me. Everybody said, "What about your gut feeling?"
Let me see if I can find it.
All right, everybody knows about.
All right. So, you know how like sometimes when you smoke with people, you end up stealing their lighter.
Nope. Everybody does that to me. I've never done it in my life. No, I'm kidding. Of course, everybody's done it.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So, so you know how like people say like when you're reading the chat, like squirrels. Like I seen a squirrel. You know, they like distract you. Well, I stole my friend's lighter the other day, and I didn't even look at it. Oh, what the fuck happened there?
Just messing with your head.
No, I thought it was my computer. It's been doing stuff. Like that. No. So check this out. I was looking at this lighter. I don't know if you can really see it, right?
Yeah, it's wrapped in plastic.
No, it says,
"Yes,
you go, squirrel."
Okay, right. Squirrel attention, yeah.
Like, my buddy was like, "You go, squirrel."
There's a Squirrel Academy.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Keep.
There's Squirrel Cults. Okay, so what we're gonna do is use my gut intuition. Oh, well, let's play a video. How's that? Oh no, wait, I was wrong. My gut intuition is wrong. See, I'm a warrior. I'm better on the battlefield.
No, I got people waking up and crying.
I don't want to do that.
I didn't wake. I don't wake them. I didn't wake her up. She always wakes up.
You want to play the video or
what? What video? What video is it? It's in the private chat.
Yeah, the one that says
opposing
long
viewpoint.
Hair.
Long hair. All right.
Helps your intuition. Then we'll play opposing viewpoint after that.
Right.
I do not have long hair.
Can you hear it?
I think that when I shave my head, it helps my intuition.
It helps to ground in this energy of intuition. Is they did a study before the war in Vietnam. They did a study to see who were the best trackers were, because like all wars, they're basically planned out 15 years ahead of time. So they wanted some good trackers. So they did this study.
Aha!
And where this came from was this daughter of this teacher in this university. Her father used to be one of those the classic look of the dress code, you know, nice suit and hair parted right on the side and flipped over. And we use a lot of butch wax and real cream and a little bit of this, a little that Aduya stuff. And he was a classic teacher. And all of a sudden he started coming home, and she noticed his face, all the little pieces of hair start sticking out a little bit more and more. And she was kind of wondering what's going on here. Pretty soon his hair started growing out. And he was breaking all the dress codes of the system. And pretty soon all these other men start doing the same. So you have that classic professor look now, you know, that Dr. Joe Plum over there. So you see the guys wearing big beards, they're talking, their hair is long, and there was a reason for that. So she didn't know, but she was worried about her father. So she went to his office when he was gone and looked at all the stuff that he was bringing home. She went through it, and they found a study, Vietnam. They went and they researched trackers, and they ended up with the results of this research that these Native American men were pretty cool. They were good trackers, some of the best. That was the result. So what they did is they drafted a whole bunch of Native American guys and put them in the service. And they took them through boot camp. They did everything. Then they went back to after basic training, went home, partied up, and they come back in to do the other training, the war games and things. So what they found out was that they couldn't do anything. They were like everybody else, you know, show me the way, tell me something so I can do something, because I'm not in my own environment. I'm under your orders. So anyway, they did the war games and they just like, forget it, they all died, you know. nothing happened. And so when they went back, the officer said, I thought you told us that these Native American people were good trackers. He said, yeah, that's true. That's what we found out. So they're trying to say, okay, what's the difference? What happened here? What's going on here? And so they did a little study here. Okay, all the guys had hair before they went to service. So they went in there, they shaved it all off. So they said, oh, maybe that's the thing. Go back and do another research and find out, give us some good trackers. So when they came back with the research, the same thing, the same results was that these Native American men were good trackers. So what they did, they drafted a whole bunch of men in the service again. This time they didn't cut their hair. They cut their hair. They didn't go because it's an experiment. So when they did their basic training, they went out back home, they come back in, they did the war games, and they won every little game that ever was put up against them. And one of the things that they did was they had feelings. I would have this feeling something's going to happen. Let's go over here.
And I'm pretty sure that's why the Native Americans wear these headdresses too, because it's made out of feathers, and feathers pick up frequencies. So, yeah.
And they would surprise their attackers. They would win these war games because they have their hair. So they came up with the result that your hair acts as little antennas out into the auric fields of others. And depending on your auric field, they'll gain a lot of information. So when the men, they come home with their short hair, they try to lie to their women. The women, they already know. You know, they feel it. They feel it strong. The men, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. They can't lie to the women. They can't get over on their women, you know. So, but if I say that if if the man starts, they cut their hair, and they start getting forgetful. They forget their wife's birthday. They forget their anniversaries.
He's right. He's right, because I shaved my head and I never remember our anniversary. I remember her birthday, but I don't
know
remember
about
my own
that,
birthday.
I get stronger when I shave my head. I feel stronger.
I just feel cleaner that way.
They forget when they come home. They forget they're married. They get really forgetful. So,
however, we're not Indian.
When you start growing your hair is a
Native American.
Your body hair will tell you.
You can call them Indians if you want, but they're Native Americans because they're not from India. Maybe who knows? Who knows? Maybe at one point they were.
Your hair stands up in the back of your neck. What is that feeling that comes with it? Yeah. You turn around and run.
We're not Americans either because it wasn't called
American.
American.
Standing up on your arms. What is that? I see people that my hair standing up.
Well, supposedly they're the ones who was here before us, though. Supposedly.
Right, but there wasn't called America at that point.
What was it called?
Nothing. They didn't.
Was it called Native America?
No, it was called the land. The land before us.
The land before time.
The path over there.
The land before time.
That cliff. That's what it was called.
The land of the lost.
That rock.
So let your hair grow. And when the younger men, they started doing this. They started feeling this, and they started like revolting. I want my hair to grow. And we see that a lot of men are losing their hair, but so don't worry about it because all your hair, your nose starts growing out, and your hair starts growing out of your ears, and your eyebrows start growing.
All over.
For more information on the next Star Knowledge Conference, go to starknowledgeconference.com.
Whoa.
You know,
where's that coming from?
About hair and growing
Oh, I see it. Nothing I can do much about that.
StarKnowledgeTV.com. Come.
Oh, you could hear that? Yeah, of course you could.
Star Knowledge.
All right.
Star Knowledge. Hey, you know what?
Hold on.
You know this thing called growing old? I don't lie.
The land of the lost. The land of the lost. The land of the lost. The land. Yeah. The land of the lost.
I got suicidal visions of women that smoke enemas full of venom. I got 10 tenants and 10 tenements laying to all the residents. Cocaine intelligence, my snow bunny bitch LE hits for Mexicans. Connecting with the best of the best and cooking meth in the bubble bath with 2 dime chicks and they possess. I put every finger in your bitch pussy with my rings on. And she don't give a fuck, she swallow nut and drink cum. Pull up to your house with my hazard lights on, they flashing bright. Hop out with a mask with Armani slacks in the metal pipe. Throw a little dash of this white inside the Alizé. Mix it with Somali and get some top on the interstate. Ventilate the car I'm driving and keeping the doors ajar. Forces all on the floor in case you force us to go to war. Say another word, I run up, ring a doorbell and lick off like them dirty cops did it to Strong Bell.
The land of the lost. The land, yeah. The land of the lost. The land of the lost. The land of the lost.
I can't find the words I wanna say when I'm trying to write. Having flashbacks of Jack Daniels in the China White. Memories of Hennessy. Enemies I find to fight. A dime to light. A 40 bag of shorty who vagina tight. My story I rewind it cause it serves as a reminder, right? Of evils that corrupt you before they cut you in the prime of life. Kinda like that first hit. Left me feeling dynamite. My wit was sharp as shit. And you get slit with the katana knife. Behind the mic, I'm like a possessed demon. Obsessed scheming, this festering pestilence is exiting my chest screaming. The man who's staring his ship is like a hex teething. Bent on revenge, he ain't leaving till he gets even. So now I'm back with the reason, still with a fast tempo. The king of everything else, yeah, I'm the last emperor. Escape the grasp of the grim reaper's past winner. But I'm still looking for the next wall to crash in the
land of the lost. The land of the lost. The land of the lost. The land of the lost.
He thought it was like a long break. All right, well, you're still there.
I did. I thought it was you're gonna keep going.
No, we're going. We're going. I got something else to put. Oh, I'm getting it.
Because I knew, I could technically tell that you were going to.
Yeah.
The point.
Yep.
So red under blue, red
under blue. What's up?
Ginger Ridge, Angela, baby Carson, baby. That's hilarious. Kate, Emma, hello, Kate. Helen Keller, who's a deaf pinball.
This is part
Sidewinder. Rain Gyps.
Yeah, here we go. Okay. So this is kind of like what we were just talking about the whole psychedelic death and rebirth. All right, yeah, let's.
I know. I already know. I already know the end of the show. I already know what's going to happen. So I'm jaded.
Yeah. Well, you did live for 12 centuries. All right, so
hey, I'm not going to die anytime soon.
Psychedelic telepathy, psychedelic rebirth, an interview study for this. All right, no, that's not it. All right, this is psychedelic rebirth, and I'll speed it up.
Going back through the Greek, Egyptian, and Vedic civilizations, the Aboriginals, the Mayan, the American Indians, and various tribal societies, back to the most ancient cave and rock art worldwide, we see proof that our ancestors had an intimate and extensive knowledge of both altered states of consciousness and the indigenous entheogenic plants which help induce them. Ayahuasca, ibogaine, peyote, magic mushrooms, and many other so-called psychedelics have long-standing histories, traditions, and entire religions based around these sacraments. Nowadays, due to intrusive and oppressive governments and their unlawful legal systems, the possession and use of most such entheogens has been outlawed. And along with these plants, the altered states of consciousness achieved by their ingestion have also become outlawed. In ancient societies and tribal cultures around the world, their entheogenic sacraments have been referred to with names such as the plant of souls, the vine of death, or the seeds of rebirth. They have often been symbolized by the phoenix rising from its own ashes, or the coiled serpent eating its own tail. This is because a strong dose of certain entheogens essentially puts you through the entire death and rebirth experience.
Yes.
Your soul slowly separates from your physical body, detaches from this physical reality and gets a glimpse at the higher frequencies of the afterlife realm.
Yeah.
That's why I
That's
felt
it.
like I was dead, and that's why
Yep,
I seen
exactly.
gestures running at me. And there's the caduceus.
That's what Dave Trinity said about his DMT experience.
I never dabbled with that. But what happened?
He basically said he died and then realized how he realized all the lies hit him. You know, I don't know. I can't really put the words, but he realized we were on a flat, non-moving surface, enclosed in a bubble.
Yeah,
that's what he realized.
Check this out. This is cool. Now that you brought that up, so we have
all that gets by the algorithm. By the way, what I just said.
Yeah.
Although the word
algo. Let's see. Is it gonna play it? Hold on one second.
Does not get by.
All right. Yeah. This should work. Okay. All right. So real quick, let me switch over to this. All right. Silicon Valley's latest fascination in exploring DMT hyperspace. So they have these people that they call psychonauts. Psychonauts. See?
Wow.
It's
Okay.
like
Now I'm wow.
Did you know about this, Singe? So these
No.
people,
familiar,
it's almost like
slightly.
astronauts, right? But it's psychonauts, right? And what they do is they take DMT, right? And they all go to the same place, right? And they're mapping it out, dude. And they all agree that it's the same. Look, I'll just play the article. Let's see if it works.
Silicon Valley's latest fascination is exploring DMT hyperspace. Hopping goblins made of shifting shapes, clown dimensions replete with impossible gestures,
I seen the clown dimension with the gesture that ran at me, dude.
and recurrent purple cosmic girlfriends. These are
Singe, I told you the story before, right? Like, I'm not making it up.
just some of the mysterious motifs
hitting home
that
more.
occur more than
On
coincidence should
show.
allow when
Did a
taking
show on it.
N-dimethyltryptamine, DMT, the ultra-powerful
Because you know why?
psychedelic that allows users
The pills that
Because
I
I
used
like you?
the pills that I used to get had DMT in them sometimes.
to seemingly travel to the outer reaches of the cosmos and beyond. One of the most fascinating things about DMT is that many trips follow a specific pattern and many users experience similar realms. Amateur psychonauts, cosmic cartographers, if you will, have been mapping the DMT realm on their own for years. But an emerging branch of academic researchers, and more recently, venture capitalists and AI researchers, are now attempting to map the DMT realm using rigorous, repeatable science. DMT hasn't been studied all that much, but a few papers on the drug have trickled out as psychedelic research continues to gain mainstream traction. The
Thank you,
Center
Red
for
Under Blue.
Psychedelic
This is
Research
gonna be
at
good.
Imperial College London, for example, has published papers on the similarities between DMT trips and near-death experiences, and found that the drug breaks down the basic networks of the brain, causing them to be less distinct from one another.
Disclaimer: we don't condone using drugs. We don't support using drugs, and we don't want people to use drugs. We're just asking questions. Also,
I've never even heard of that.
I don't. I don't know. I'm not sure about the DMT because it's like you die and come back to life. It's like it's the chemical that your brain releases when you're about to die. It's not supposed to be released until you're gonna really die. So I don't know. I mean, some people say it's all right, but I never tried.
I am clean living. I like
Until
to prefer
recently,
clean living.
psychonauts were limited by the brief time
Ranks.
spent in these other worlds. Long called a
No, I
businessman's
have
trip
not,
for
the
its short
Hendrix.
duration,
Sounds
DMT
good, though.
blasts users off-world and back within 20 minutes. For the amateur psychonauts who have cataloged their time in the DMT world and sketched out their experiences in scrappily drawn maps, these temporal constraints have proved limiting. But now, an intravenous delivery system could allow people to spend more time in
IV
these bizarre
DMT.
zones, retrieving data about their ontology and perhaps telling us more about our waking reality. DMT differs from other psychedelics not only in its brief duration, but in experience, too. While smaller doses feel a lot like acid, at breakthrough doses, it's not only the whole field of perception that's affected, but an entire shift in consciousness that lets the user explore bizarre, unfamiliar places. In 2016, author Dr. Rick Strassman, along with neurobiologist and author Dr. Andrew Gallimore, proposed a radical intravenous technique to administer the drug.
Wow.
The model could safely extend pure DMT experiences by stabilizing levels of the molecule in the blood, lengthening the trip's peak or adjusting its power as needed.
Jesus.
It could suspend the user in these alternate dimensions for 30 minutes, an hour, or, theoretically, even longer.
You can't tell how long you're
In
there
science fiction, a machine such as
It goes by quick.
Katsuhiro Otomo's Rogine Z could look after the psychonauts' biological needs, keeping them floating in DMT space indefinitely. Whilst the endogenous human hallucinogen DMT reliably and reproducibly generates.
You want to hear a crazy story, Singeman? You there? No? Well, one time, I blinked, right? Like I was with a few people. I was with my ex-girlfriend. I was with my friend, my DJ Gremlin, and I was with like a few other people sitting. And I blinked. It was like a second, right? And everybody told me, "Dude, are you all right?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, you were just passed out for like 45 minutes." And I'm like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, we were trying to wake you up. We were getting scared." And I'm like, "I just blinked." They're like, "No, you didn't." It like went by in like a split second, but I was out for like an hour.
One of the most unusual states of consciousness available.
Yeah,
its
time is an
phenomenology
illusion.
has only begun to be characterized, the paper states.
I checked the time too when I woke up. When I came, they weren't lying. They weren't messing with me.
A technology for extending DMT experiences in a controlled manner beyond what is achievable using bolus administration therefore would be of great value. Parallel dimensions populated by machine elves that communicate in unspoken psychic
Machine
languages
elves, yep.
of pure love and consciousness are interesting enough to study on their own merit.
So, the machine elves, real quick, what I know about them is they can take different shapes of different things. They're very mischievous. They try to basically like freak you out a little bit, but they're funny about it. They don't really try to scare you. They just kind of like jump out at you. And people say that they're like the archons between this world and another realm, right? They control all the inner workings of the machine of whatever makes this place work. It like I've seen them a few times, and it's always in between flashes of light and dark. So like when I have a strobe light on and it's real dark in the room and then it's like real slow, they show up in between the flashes, which is almost like duality. The chessboard floor, the Freemasons, the Shriners have clowns, right? They know because they've seen it. There's another world in between the darkness and light that our eyes don't allow us to see. And it's always there, but in certain conditions, certain brain states, you can kind of, in certain frequencies, if you have a certain type of music playing, you can see them.
But from a purely orthodox scientific perspective, there's no doubt the DMT world is remarkable by itself and worthy of deep and intense investigation, Gallimore told Motherboard. These are worlds, and beings within worlds that bear no relationship whatsoever to our normal waking world. It's far more complex.
It is another world. You know why? They were showing me like an assembly line. They keep showing me like things like they come at you sometimes and they hold something in their hand, right? And like it looks like an invention. It's like something you've never seen before, something from like another world. But it's so complicated, but it looks like it works. But whatever it is, it's like before you can describe it to the person next to you, they change it and show you something else. And it's another crazy thing. And you're like, oh my God, look what I just saw. And you try to explain it. And then before you know it, you forgot what you even saw. But I guess some people remember it.
richer than our mundane conscious experience, said Gallimore. Many describe it as an impossible space. Psychedelic high strangeness notwithstanding, there are also potential medical and therapeutic benefits to the technology, says Strassman. Prolonged states could open the door to more detailed brain imaging, helping us better understand the neurocircuitry involved in the DMT experience. They could also help us find ways to optimize neurogenesis, the formation of new neurons, and neuroplasticity, the adaptive abilities of neural pathways, he says. Psychotherapeutically, one could, in nearly real time, increase or decrease the level of DMT intoxication by raising or lowering the infusion rate of the drug, says Strassman. This would allow a more or less altered state depending on the clinical needs of the patient. For example, they may want to go deeper or they want to interact and talk more. These experiments in DMT land may also help us understand more about our own consciousness and even the nature of baseline reality. Rather than our three-dimensional universe, DMT seems to propel users into hyperdimensional spaces, that is, those with more spatial dimensions than our waking world. This is remarkable, Gallimore explains, because we can only imagine 4, 5, or 6-dimensional spaces in the abstract. But in the DMT space,
one night, I seen like an alphabet on the ceiling, and it was like hieroglyphic looking, but it wasn't anything I've ever seen from any language on Earth. But it was an alphabet. They were trying to show me the alphabet, I think.
It's as though
it looked like sigils, but it was a whole alphabet.
We can actually experience them.
And it's weird too. It's like you get like these thoughts, like where when you see the stuff, what it is like I notice like I'll be looking up at the ceiling and I start seeing like fuzz, right? And then the fuzz starts lighting up all different colors, like neon, yellow, pinks, purples, friggin' flashing. And if you pay close enough attention, it'll start taking shapes. And it was showing me like words, and it was and one time I seen this word, it was like Bay State velocity, but then when I like zoomed in on it with my eyes, it said Bay State facility. It changed from Bay State velocity to Bay State facility. And I was like, Bay State facility? And then like 7 years later, I was in a place that was called Bay State facility. Like I got locked up, and I heard them answer the phone, and I was like in my room, and they were like, Bay State facility. And I was like, what the fuck? And this is Massachusetts. It's called the Bay State.
Don't swear.
Yeah. So like it like predicted my future like 5 or 6 years before whatever they were trying to show me. And the alphabet was crazy looking. So I don't know.
Valley.
Oh yeah, and then I seen the assembly line.
Okay, so back to
and I knew it was an assembly line. I don't know why. I was like, that's called the assembly line.
Psychic abilities.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Does that give you psychic abilities?
I don't know, man. I've been looking for answers to this stuff my whole life. You know, this is a good stream. This is very therapeutic for me.
It does give you. It's fleeting and fake. So now there's gurus, etc., who do it without ingesting any substances, by meditation and chanting and fasting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Dream journal. Yeah.
Right?
Well,
yes.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up, Onafe?
I already said it.
All right.
That was it. You didn't answer.
Right. So, yeah, I didn't hear you. Go ahead. I was reading the chat. Squirrels. You go, squirrel.
I already said it. I don't want to repeat it again.
Well, I'll go back and watch it later. All right. Hopping goblins made of shifting shapes. Clown dimensions. Repeat with impossible gestures. So, like, I seen this gesture run at me in a zigzag. And he had bells on his hat. And I could hear the bells ringing. Right? Like, I could hear him. And he was short and he was fat. Like this fat. He had a fat head. And it was like a midget or something, you know? And he ran at me in a zigzag. And I jumped up yelling. And I was bugging out. And my friends were like, dude, chill. What happened? And I'm like, dude, I just seen a gesture run at me. And my friend was like, no, that was me, man. That was my keys. Like he was walking by to go to use the bathroom and it was dark and his keys were jingling. I don't know.
Connection. DMT is often, but not always, one of the active ingredients in ayahuasca, a plant used in ritual ceremonies by various indigenous peoples in Latin America that has also become popular with backpackers and Silicon Valley types. One group investigating DMT space that's attracted the attention of Silicon Valley is the Qualia Research Institute, QRI, a California-based nonprofit led by Andres Gomez Emilson, who has a master's in psychology from Stanford and co-founded the Stanford Transhumanist Association in his time there.
Transhumanist.
QRI describes itself as revealing the computational properties of consciousness, and among its donors are Silicon Valley VCs and AI and machine vision experts. Notably, Olaf
here's what I was
Carlson
going to say
Lee,
about
the
this
founder
too.
of Polychain
Oh yeah.
Capital,
Also, when
a
the
cryptocurrency
FE Nation says crazy, yeah. When the thing ran at me, I wasn't sure if I was like possessed by it because it disappeared like right when it got to my body, and I was like, "Is it inside? Did it just jump inside my body?" I think it was doing that to me on purpose, like just to like be funny. They have like a sense of humor. These things. But anyway, go ahead, Singe. What were you gonna say?
Luckily I remembered.
Yeah.
So they were using it for evil purposes. Well, you could use a pencil to draw a beautiful picture, or you could hurt somebody with a pencil. So it's a tool. Depends on how.
Weapon. Yeah.
It's a tool. Depends on how you use this tool. You can use it for good or bad. So to say it's evil to do clairvoyancy is wrong. Although, if you feel like you're on a power trip, I could see that leading towards evil.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's evil. It's just like the pencil isn't evil. The knife didn't stab them. The person with the knife did, or you know what I mean?
Well, I've heard before that
So
like,
inanimate objects, etc. Yeah.
all right. So yeah. So you know, if God did make the earth using magic, right? Which sounds like He did, and then you know, Jesus. Like they say, everybody is kind of like Jesus, and we could do what He did if we really tried, right?
And more, actually, He says you can be like me and more powerful. He said.
He said that. Jesus said that.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And then like, all right, the whole forbidden fruit thing, right? Like it's a Mandela effect. It used to be an apple. I remember, but now it's a forbidden fruit, right? The tree of knowledge. You know, the serpent wanted them to eat from the tree, and then for some reason, after whatever they ate off of that plant, made them like wake up and put clothes on and whatnot. So there's stories about all this type of stuff, all the way going back to the Bible. But it's okay for them to do it, but when we do it, it's evil.
Yeah, like in visions, just that alone. I had a vision of God. Oh my God! Well, that sounds weird. I guess you're.
I have
evil.
I have a vision. Do you know where I picture you in 5 years? Filthy rich, driving your many luxurious vehicles to a Flatfest. Like
all at the same time.
Driving 3 cars by yourself.
All at the same time. Yes.
Yeah, like a Ferrari.
That's how I like to do it.
And a Porsche.
I put on my cop glasses like this.
Yeah.
If I can get them over here.
What's up, Magavelli? What to say? I'm chilling.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Mm-hmm. There you go. You'll be riding in style.
You a cop? I should. Yeah. All through high school, people would ask me, "Are you a cop?" I should have started saying, "Yeah."
The focused VC firm is on the Institute's board of directors.
So these people are called psychonauts, and they're mapping out the DMT space, hyperspace.
Dr. Shamil Chandy.
We're going to get to it.
Are they upstanding citizens, or are they like lazy bums on the street
and Wojciech Zaremba, a co-founder of OpenAI, are on its board of advisors.
I don't know who they are, but they take a lot of DMT and go into some crazy world, and they're mapping it out.
The The gist of his group, Emilson told Motherboard, is that QRI champions a think tank approach for consciousness research, where we
Think
talk
tank.
to a well-educated group of highly technical and rational psychonauts who want to understand what is going on and experiment on their own time and at their own risk. Its broad body of work covers everything from the music theory of consciousness to devising web tools that chart the tracer effects of psychedelics and the frequencies they operate in, as well as designing protocols for phenomenological trip report.
That's what it is. The psychedelics are going to put you at a different frequency. Frequenceology 101, class is now in session. Sit back in the back of the class and be quiet.
Delving into Qualia's varied experiments can feel a little like a mind-bending conversation loop during a heavy trip at Burning Man, leafing through QRI's myriad
Burning
papers.
Man.
Well, I've never been to that,
The
so I guess I
nonprofit
would
is
have
redolent
no
of a heady
idea
blend of
what they're talking about.
You've been to Burning Man, have you? Have you not?
Why would I go to the?
What is Burning Man? Isn't it like a big concert?
To me, Burning Man is
It's like Woodstock, right?
A water slide where you come out the end covered in glitter.
No way.
I think that's what it is.
They cover them in glitter?
I just think that's what it is to me.
Oh. Well, no, but don't they like burn they burn like a huge like stick figure of a man made out of hay or something, right?
Yes, it's a figure of me in effigy. They burned me in effigy. The Singe Man.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Singe Man. They burned me in effigy. Do you know what that means, effigy? It's a word I made up in the 1700s. In the 1600s, I made that word up.
Hold on. Come on. Give me the real deal. 24 hours at Burning Man. All right. I'll play some of this. Let's just check it out for a sec.
Well, I think we should stay on track, but okay. I thought we should. You think it's on track? I guess we can go anywhere with it. You're right. Psychic powers are just cognitive functions. I don't.
This is the kind of shenanigans that's going on at Burning Man. Let's just.
That's a place to stay away from, I would say.
So this is Burning Man. Let's see. There's the thing they're gonna burn. Wait, it's in the middle of the desert. Where is it, Singe?
They burn more than one thing. Okay.
Oh, they burn a whole bunch of men. What are they?
One man. There's only one man.
This guy. Look at this guy. Looks all messed up. He looks like he's like lived in the desert his whole life.
What they do is they go around with squirt guns and they'll spray you with LSD and they'll spray you with
really
TNT.
An LSD squirt gun.
Yes.
Where can I get one of those?
At Burning Man and only.
Look at it, dude. It looks all lit up and shit. Look, they got pyramids.
Now, it was good for a couple of years, I heard, but then it became too big and too much security and too...
Wait, it was like, it used to be low key and then they turned it
used
into
to be
like...
you could just go in and party and walk around.
Look at that
Now
thing. Moonlight Tower. Moonlight
so
Tower.
much, right? So many
tree-
people that security had to come in.
Yeah.
There's all the fighting and idiots.
This is the it looks like a ritual.
Looks like they're trying to spin fire.
They're trying to summon things.
No.
No.
That's called flow art, and they're trying to do what I do, but they are very sadly not pulling it off. I super
cool.
shred at that, and I could outdo
Laser show.
I plan on one day becoming a world grand master.
Are they gonna burn the man?
Rope dart.
What are they burning?
People don't even know how to spin it, so
it looks like rituals to me, dude.
There's a lot of satanic stuff there. Yes. I told you.
I don't know. I don't know if you can just go in. No, it's expensive.
Can't. You used to be able to go there.
Look at it. There it goes. It's burning the man.
You used to be able to, when they first started.
It's a pyrotechnics. Oh, they burn the whole place down afterwards? Is that what they do?
No, just one big thing.
It looks like they're burning. Yeah,
they're basically a bunch of kids who think they know the world, and then there's people like him who control them.
Let's see. Is this still sharing? No. All right, go back to what we were. DMT hyperspace.
Cyberpunk philosophy, psychedelic science, and abstract mathematics. But why are VCs and AI experts interested? While Emilson admits it'd be amusing if there was
Which
an
one is this?
conspiracy among machine learning experts
Oh,
to
about
draw
the
their
DMT. Okay.
algorithms from hallucinogenic alien universes, he believes the QRI connection is a little more mundane. That there's simply a very high correlation between people who are into AI and figuring out intelligence, figuring out consciousness, and how the mind works. But for donor Winslow Strong, speaking to Motherboard fresh from a high-resolution, relational, resonance-based electroencephalic mirroring session, the mysteries of consciousness are one frontier that science has struggled to conquer, and this is one of QRI's main draws.
Science will never figure it out.
Our ancestors looked to the heavens and had different explanations for what stars were,
Yes.
but that's largely been explained to us by physics and science,
Come
Strong
on.
told Motherboard. But consciousness is the most interesting mystery. Science has not explained it away at all.
Nope. And science really hasn't explained anything at all.
Strong adds that as researchers and engineers construct artificial minds through AI, things will get really interesting in the study of mind in general.
I mean,
I
like this
expect
voice that's
AI
AI.
and ethical
Yeah,
questions
yeah.
around it. Is my AI conscious? To drive
Are you
foundational
conscious?
interests, resources, and study of the mind per SE. Qualia Research Institute's mission is to unearth the mysteries of consciousness with mathematical modeling, with the eventual goal of abolishing suffering in its entirety, perhaps even through physical
I think you could spend the rest of your life trying to figure out the mysteries of consciousness, and you'll never know until you die.
devices that promote a kind of consciousness hacking without having to imbibe heavy drugs. To do this, though, Emilson and QRI want to establish more data points about the nature of consciousness itself. DMT is useful for QRI's mission, explains Emilson, because the bizarre shapes and sights and other puzzling sensory experiences can affect us in an unusually powerful, profound way. For instance, Emilson believes that studying the ontology of the various DMT heaven worlds, which spark feelingness and joy in users, could one day help us achieve a kind of super happiness in waking life. There's a bunch of heaven worlds, Emilson added, we have found 8 different varieties, and some are more blissful than others.
I have a super
Dude, the
to
DMT
wake
people,
life.
the psychonauts found 8 different varieties of DMT spaces.
Okay, but I already have a super happiness in waking life. Whee!
I'm
Yay!
going to Singe Man.
See?
I'm going to a pretty place where the flowers grow. I'll be back in an hour or so.
I tiptoe through the tulips.
Tiptoe through the
Constantly.
tulips.
Like that's what I do all the time.
You just skipping around and
Right now,
clicking
I'm
your heels
tiptoeing
together,
through the tulips.
jumping up and clicking your heels together.
I am in Kansas because it's flat as a pancake.
In these DMT worlds, Emilson says, there is a link between how visuals harmonize and synchronize and how good, or bad, they make us feel. On the other end of the spectrum are discordant, spiky worlds that are more likely to be associated with an unnerving trip, reminiscent of the Bubakiki effect, which
That's
ascribes
heavy,
pointy,
man.
round shapes to certain sounds, Kiki being spiky and Buba being more globular.
It's like
There's Kiki and
I
Buba
can dig
body
it,
vibrations, there's Kiki and Buba light stimulation, and Kiki and Buba DMT shapes
Okay,
and
we've had enough of
levels
that.
of DMT.
Well, I'm going to
said
read that.
Emilson.
There's more on this page I want to
Very
read.
unpleasant life forms on DMT are
I'm just,
often because they're
yeah,
flaky.
I just want to hear what she has to say.
DMT is extremely
what the voice is
reliable,
saying.
like clockwork, he says.
This thing's
There's a
giving me a
very
lot of
consistent
answers,
progression
actually.
of energetic life forms or
True.
structures
It's
you
pretty good.
encounter, so you can absolutely systematically describe what goes on at each of the levels. And QRI is attempting to catalog these states.
QRI.
At low doses, DMT is like other psychedelics, where textures gain symmetry and morph into fractals, something Emilson calls a two-dimensional resonant mode. A little like a mandala wall hanging. Higher doses take users to places other psychedelics don't.
A mandala
The chrysanthemum
effect.
level sees
In other
fractals
words.
erupt and surfaces crinkle and curve in on themselves. higher doses still rocket the user into what Emilson calls the crystal world, with spiky bejeweled landscapes populated by entire plots and energetic patterns and civilizations. More than that, and users experience hyperbolic geometry, according to Emilson, where their entire field of perception begins to fold in on itself, a bit like heated aluminum with nowhere to expand to. Next is what DMT voyagers call the waiting room, a disorienting reality completely unlike our own, sometimes decorated with chessboard patterns that hum with vibrational energy, often with a sense of some higher intelligence present, like a celestial bodyguard who decides whether or not you'll be permitted to the final, brain-melting stage. The breakthrough experience. Breakthroughs are really outside of people's conceptual framework, he says, and it's here that the wildest trip experiences like the clown dimensions occur. Soon, interested psychonauts may be able to explore these places for longer and outside of a clinical setting. In Colorado, which recently voted to decriminalize psychedelic compounds, influenced by Strassman and Gallimore's Extended State Project, psychedelic specialist Daniel McQueen founded the DMTX program. This grassroots DMT study group hopes to use the extended state DMT tools devised by Gallimore and Strassman to encourage the use of the drug as a problem-solving tool, McQueen told Motherboard, as well as a means for deeper exploration of people's inner worlds. McQueen, who publishes training videos to help psychonauts navigate the confounding dynamics of DMT space, will eventually publish a set of instructive protocols via DMTX for making the most of these exploratory trips. The organization is currently ironing out legal kinks before it can get started, and already has gathered 8 volunteers for its initial Psychonaut cohort program, one of them possibly Mike Tyson. While Emilson is not personally involved in the DMTX project,
Did they say
he
Mike
believes
Tyson?
extended experiences make a lot of sense research-wise.
Yeah, why do
And
you
if
have to
we
be
get the
famous?
chance,
Why
we
can't no?
definitely
It's like
want to try that we're legal and ethical.
every time I hear
I remember when Tyson knocked out
they're all
McNally.
bull. It's all bull.
Do you remember when he? Do you remember when he
Whatever
knocked
I'm
out?
hearing is a bunch of bullcrap.
Do you remember when he knocked out McNally? Tyson versus McNally, back
It
in
is
the day.
these extended states
It's
where
like
baffling high math
it was like 2 hits, one or 2 hits, and the dude was like
No,
out.
I never
Yeah.
watched this.
concepts like the hyperbolic manifold, usually relegated to the abstract and algebraic, might actually be experienced. An extended state trip, adds the University of Greenwich's David Luke, who has written on higher dimensional geometry, and put a stop to his personal experimentation with the drug.
Higher dimensional
See, they're
geometry.
just
That's what
talking
I.
about.
No, but that's what I
I'm not
saw.
getting any substance from what it's saying.
Well, I am, because that's what I saw. I saw a higher dimensional.
Right, but it's just mind games. It's not substantial.
It is mind games.
You use
Yeah.
it for something.
No, you're right. It is mind games.
After meeting a multi-eyed snake
Maybe you can
seraphim
use
in
it
the DMT
for
realm,
healing, etc. I don't
means
know.
we may have a better chance at determining whether the structures people experience are indeed extra-dimensional, or a kind of non-Euclidean geometry. Are they really dimensions we can't ordinarily perceive, he asks, or do they only give the appearance of those places? Charting hallucinogenic worlds and conversing with interdimensional beings is admittedly on the more esoteric end of DMT research.
Yeah, it is.
But Gallimore hopes that, along with the increase in university-led investigations of the molecule, more grassroots
So colleges are taking it and investigating it.
groups of researchers may form to investigate these unusual phenomena more closely.
Yeah,
given the
and we know
relative
about
affordability
colleges.
of the extended state drug.
Yeah, we know all about
Land
It's a
colleges.
very
intelligence.
different world your brain is constructing when it's perturbed with this molecule, Gallimore says. Mapping DMT space is not about producing a traditional map of DMT land, but you can start to look at structure. Once these initial observations are complete, researchers can start asking more questions about the relation between DMT hyperspace and our regular waking world, says Gallimore.
Our
Is there a
regular
clear
waking
connection
world.
and a way we can describe it with earthbound mathematics?
I doubt
Is
it.
it something that's beyond our ability to formalize and
Yes.
mathematize?
Yes.
Can we test the space in some way?
I doubt it.
Can we analyze its structure?
No.
Can we get information out of the space in real time that other people can analyze, with mathematicians,
Maybe.
linguists, anthropologists, And even artists who will be on
Yes.
the other side
Yes.
fed this information in real time? We could
Yes.
even, Gallimore suggests, ask the all-knowing DMT jesters difficult math problems and see how they respond.
They just try to scare you, and then they laugh at you and they run away, and then they show you crazy stuff and disappear.
These experiments in DMT
They don't really want to communicate with you too much.
land may also help us understand
They act like they're above you.
more about our own consciousness and even the nature of baseline reality. Rather than our three-dimensional universe, DMT seems to propel users into hyperdimensional spaces, that is, those with more spatial dimensions than our waking world. This is remarkable, Gallimore explains, because we can only imagine 4, 5, or 6-dimensional spaces in the abstract.
Yeah.
These are things mathematicians, topologists, and geometers deal with, he says, but it's impossible for us to actually comprehend what it might be like to be within a 4-dimensional space. DMT seems to allow you to say, I was in a space that had more dimensions, I was able to see all sides of an object, I saw things that were impossible.
Don't take DMT. Don't even bother.
Okay, now scientists have just
Anyway.
discovered, because on that note,
Yeah, I don't want to see if
We talk about this.
Is this just a conversation?
I don't know if
Terrence McKenna.
Right.
All right.
the first we're asking the same.
Go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Scientists have just discovered a strange new matter in which time has 2 dimensions, and the extra dimension could help them build quantum computers and change the way we understand reality. That's in the news.
You got it on your screen? Share it.
It's in the news today. Oh, okay. CBS News. So that's interesting. That was today's news.
Yeah.
We're also present camera. Slowly. Go. There you go.
Yeah.
You're getting tired. I hear that in your voice.
No, I'm not getting tired. I'm reading the
Yeah.
chat.
Okay, good. Did I get the sound going? Probably not. Look at, they stole my cube.
I can't hear it. What is it saying? Oh, there you go. I can hear it.
You hear that?
Yeah, go full screen with it. The little square.
It's very short.
Go full screen. Hit the little square in the corner there.
It's very short.
Go full. Yeah, go ahead. Now.
Oops.
real quick.
The Fraternal Order of Police president tells me this crop of LSD is a major threat to police officers as well as the rest of us. He says it turns normal people into monsters that possess this superhuman strength and no ability to feel pain.
Check it. Yo, if you ever need help after a nuclear assault, who the fuck you gon' call? Me, Cannibal Hope. Savages approach with bangers and cannons to smoke. Who the fuck you gon' call? Call me, Cannibal Hope. How your daughter been abducted by a cannibal cult? Who the fuck you gon' call? Me, Cannibal Hope. Gamma radiated Cannibal Hope, genius and dope. Who the fuck you gon' call? Call me, Cannibal Hope. Yo, jump the Grand Canyon barefoot. Throw they helicopter 1,000 miles from their hood. Personified rage, used to turn green before I learned to monetize pain. Mangled the coke, ill bill, Cannibal Hope. Burn my eternal soul if I ever betray my eternal oath. Family friends shoot each other in park cars at Gemini Lounge was only 2 blocks from Mars. Was 40 mil that got Morty killed. Thought he was more wavy. I call my grandmother sauce gravy. And when the shotty blows adios, not proud to say my uncle how we shot dope and sold Cosby coke. Artifacts, heartbreaking like a teen suicide bomb attacking Iraq. Beyond rap society, brainwash, stay calm. Ice water like Raekwon. They artificial like a prosthetic arm. Listen, the pistol pop like champagne. And rock like Van Halen when they had Dave. Pop the strong for the milli, drug dilly, young Billy with Chuck Jury in the cut grilly. Angel touch gelato. Remember that a brand you can trust is the motto. LSD in the fruit punch. It's the ILL lefty 2 guns. Trust me, you don't want to smoke. Fuck around, transform into Cannibal Hope. If you ever need help after a nuclear assault, who the fuck you gon' call? Me, Cannibal Hope. Savages approach with bangers and cannons to smoke. Who the fuck you gon' call? Call me, Cannibal Hope. How your daughter been abducted by a cannibal cult? Who the fuck you gon' call? Me, Cannibal Hope. Gamma radiated Cannibal Hope, genius and dope. Who the fuck you gon' call? Call me, Cannibal Hope.
So,
1 sec, I'm right here, guys. Still making my
so there's also the I got something to screen share here. The other side, no, right? The opposing viewpoint. Let's do the opposing viewpoint now.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Opposing viewpoint.
Right. Yes, boss.
Sir. Because
whatever you
it
say,
doesn't
boss.
exist. All in your mind. It's all just semantics. It's all cognitive dissonance. None of it's true. UFOs are fake. Ghosts aren't fake, real. None of it's all in your mind.
Well, yeah, we can't. We got to be non-biased. Right? We got to be non-biased.
You're dumb. You're on drugs.
Want to help people?
None of it's real.
I've noticed in several videos people confusing psychic abilities for cognitive functions. I want to help people distinguish between what your brain is doing through cognition and what your soul is doing through energy and frequencies. First, you need to understand that your brain and your body is nothing but hardware to contain your energy, body, and soul to be able to live in a 3D world. The information stored in your brain, such as knowledge, memories, and skills, would be the software. The body is nothing but a vessel or a home. It is a meat suit for your soul.
I agree.
We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yes.
Think about it this way. When you have thoughts racing through your mind, who is the one observing those thoughts?
Me.
That would be you. You are not your brain. Your brain is not you. You are your soul.
Yes.
The personality type of your brain is how you have been hardwired and how you function cognitively in this world as a human being.
I get
that.
that.
The ego is simply a mask, a cover, a persona.
Yeah.
We live in a world of duality and have done so since the fall of man and eating from the
Duality.
tree of knowledge of good and evil.
There you go.
Whether or not Adam and Eve literally ate from a tree or it is simply a metaphor, I do not know that answer. But I do know that in this world, everything
We didn't watch any of these videos before we started talking either, so we covered. We were already talking about this. Pretty crazy.
has been flipped. If your
No,
cognitive
you were supposed to watch
is
it.
NTP,
I didn't watch any of them.
your soul is the dual of that type, which
It's
is
not a good
an
video.
ISFJ. You
I
have
like
been
it.
flipped. Or I like
I'm
to say,
saying
you've been
she's
hacked.
saying exactly what I
And
said.
in order to find your true self,
But I
you
didn't
have
watch
to face
it.
the fears and insecurities that are standing in the way for you to flip yourself right side up.
Oh.
Extroverted sensing and
fucked it
extroverted
up.
feeling be you. You are not your brain.
You are not your
brain.
brain.
Is not you.
Your brain is not
You
you.
are your soul.
You are your soul.
The personality type of your brain is how you have been hardwired and how you function cognitively in this world as a human being. The ego is simply a mask, a cover, a persona. We live in a world of duality and have done so since the fall of man and eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Whether or not Adam and Eve literally ate from a tree or it is simply a metaphor, I do not know that answer. But I do
It could have been a peyote plant.
know that in this world, everything
Who
has
knows?
been flipped. If your cognitive personality type is an ENTP, your soul is the dual of that type, which is an ISFJ. You have been flipped, or I like to say, you've been hacked. And in order to find your true self, you have to face the fears and insecurities that are standing in the way for you to flip yourself right side up. Extroverted sensing and extroverted feeling have been used by others to explain some people's experiences with clairsentience, which translates to clear feeling. When you walk into a room and feel like you just hit a brick wall, but there's nothing in front of you, and you could cut the tension in a room with a knife before you have even discovered what is going on,
I never felt that.
that is not extroverted feeling nor extroverted sensing. Your energy body is picking up on the energy in the room. That is not brain
Empath.
cognition. That is energy work. That is clairsentience. When you absorb someone else's feelings as your own, that is you taking on energy. You are doing energy healing work by taking away the pain and placing it upon yourself. That is why some people are so exhausted after being around others because they don't know how to filter out other people's energy.
Energy
They
vampire.
are wide open and allowing other energy in. And if it's all negative, they will be wiped out for days
Yes.
to recover.
Yes.
That is not FE. That is clairsentience.
It's not flat Earth.
FE is simply being
Ray
able to
tries to do that to me. I
understand
just go,
from their perspective and provide empathy through mirror neurons. Being empathic, where you take on those feelings, is clairsentience. They are not the same thing. Being aware of someone's presence in the room without the use of any of your five senses is not extroverted sensing, nor extroverted feeling. Being aware of energy is clairsentience. There are many who feel claustrophobic in large groups or want to spread themselves out so people can't invade their personal space. This is a result of them not liking other people's energy commingling with theirs, or being bombarded by too many people's energy that they feel restrained. Those are examples of someone with clairsentience. Introverted intuition and clairvoyance are not the same thing. Introverted intuition is seeing the underlying meaning, the root cause, the subliminal messaging, and it recognizes general aspects that reoccur to predict what will come through statistical learning. Clairvoyance, which translates to clear seeing, does not require any data or knowledge whatsoever to see future events or see into the spiritual world. Once again, psychic abilities deal with energy. Cognitive functions deal with brain cognition. An example of clairvoyance would be receiving a dream where you saw a future accident and 2 days later the event occurred. Sometimes these visions are not as clear as you would like them to be. They may tell you what will happen, but it doesn't usually come with a timestamp, nor a how or a why, and sometimes not even the who. These visions are usually made clear through hindsight. Another example of clairvoyance would be seeing the world move in slow motion. I know in a crisis, I am able to see the future and the present come together in slow motion. For example, my friend's son was sitting sideways on his feet on a bar stool, and when he tried to lean back, he fell off the chair. I was able to see him move in slow motion to place my hand under his head before he hit the ground. That is clairvoyance. Another example of clairvoyance would be being able to see into the spiritual world. I know that when I posted an explanation for Revelation 13 verses 1 through 10, the beast out of the sea, on Facebook on December 6, 2020, the day the electoral vote was placed and the presidential election confirmed, I was attacked energetically through people astral projecting into my home. Let's just say they weren't a fan of my post and revealing some truth. FYI, astral bodies from your human eyes kind of look like small floating energy blobs. I have eyes to see. My ears to hear are coming along, but I don't hear very well because my brain can't shut up to be able to distinguish between my thoughts and their voices. They usually have to play lyrics in my head for me to hear them and separate me from them. That biblical saying, eyes to see and ears to hear, are referring to those with clairvoyance and clairaudience. The Bible calls these by different names, but they are gifts of the Holy Spirit.
So she's saying clairvoyance is in the Bible and it's a gift from the Holy Spirit.
Everyone has these abilities. They have been suppressed, repressed, and hindered. You have to break down all the programming that's been placed upon you throughout your life, work on yourself, probably change your diet, find your connection with Holy Father
Change
God,
your diet.
and develop these abilities of the soul. Clairaudience is sometimes confused for extroverted intuition and extroverted sensing. Clairaudience is translated to clear hearing. This is you picking up on other frequencies. When you experience your ears ringing for no reason, this is not tinnitus. It is the spiritual world trying to tell you something, and your ears are picking up on the change in frequencies. You need to believe, for one, relax and not overthink, and be open to them communicating to you. However, there are demonic spirits and technology out there that is trying to mindfuck you, such as Voice to Skull and MK Ultra.
Yeah.
So you need to always use discernment and protect yourself from negative frequencies. Be sure to ask for only 100% pure, holy truth. And when you are able to hear them clearly, ask them to recognize the Creator as Holy Father God.
Yes.
The Bible tells you that evil spirits cannot say Jesus.
Yeah.
This is a deceptive lie.
Whoa.
There is also a demon whose name is Jesus.
No
They can
way.
say that name, but ask them to say Holy Father God, and you'll get yourself some rather interesting responses from those evil spirits, and you'll know right away to immediately block them from your energy and your thoughts.
Yeah.
For those that are already somewhat involved in your spiritual psychic abilities and are referring to Holy Father God as spirit or the universe or some other deity, please recognize that Holy Father God is a being and not some lower level deity. For my lovely tarot readers that call upon descended masters and spirit guides and archangels, please use discernment. There is a counterfeit version for everything, so that Archangel Michael you think you're talking to may not be Holy Archangel Michael.
No.
Claircognizance is also another psychic ability often confused with introverted intuition. Claircognizance means clear knowing. This is where you have a revelation from absolutely nowhere, and you know for a fact that this is true deep down into your soul, and no one can tell you otherwise. This is not the same as instincts. Instincts are survival and primal sensations and is related to your fight or flight system in your introverted sensing function. I have one example that I can think of right off the bat with my experience with claircognizance. This was a night where I was sitting out on my deck, and an Uber driver on the road below stopped in the middle of the road and started yelling for help. I went down to see what was going on, and he said the chick that he was driving had passed out in his car and he didn't know what to do. I immediately asked my sister, who had followed me down, to find the chick's purse and get me her ID, because I needed her birthday to unlock her phone. I didn't know this chick, nor the driver from Joe Blow, but I knew that I would be able to get into her phone and call someone she knows for help with just her birthday. We called 911 as well, just so you know, but that is an example of claircognizance, a knowing. It is not introverted intuition. It was not brain cognition coming from my conscious self. I received that information not from my brain, but from her soul speaking to my soul and providing me information I needed to know to help her. It came through the subconscious. Our inner knowings lie. There are many other psychic abilities.
Thank you, Angela.
Usually you're quite strong in
Singeman
two of
found
these
it,
and
though.
weaker in the other two.
I can't take the credit for it.
Clairaudience are associated with feminine energy and are usually grouped together. Clairvoyance and claircognizance are associated with masculine energy and are usually grouped together. I have a very strong masculine energy, even though I am a very small, petite, and feminine female in human form. Let's just say when I aspire into my ESTP self, you will know who is in charge. My true dual, which I have met and is a real thing, is a very manly man in many,
Yeah?
many ways.
Let me see who she
But he
is.
has very strong feminine energy. His clairsentience and clairaudience is off the
I don't
fucking
know.
Richter scale. I will
I'll
discuss
have to
duals
check
and compatibility in another video.
what channel this
Please
was.
remember to like, subscribe, and share. If you try to hang on
Let's
to your
see.
life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. I've noticed in several videos.
Let's see if I can get back. I want to see if I can find the channel for you guys. Let me see. Where did you get this from, Singe? It's closing viewpoint. It's from BitChute. Yeah, I'll get you guys the link. Ooh. All right. That's who it is. All right. Okay. All right. We'll get back to this.
Hancock wrote, in the Central African countries of Gabon, Cameroon, and Zaire, certain age-old ancestor cults still flourish in the 21st century. Their members share a common belief, based, they say, on direct...
You know, Angela, one day you're going to have to check out BitChute, because I'm on BitChute and they don't censor anything, and there's a lot of people. I'm getting a lot of views on BitChute. And also, I read on BitChute that they're going to start live streaming soon. Once BitChute starts live streaming, I think it's going to be pretty good, because, like, a lot of people, it gets a lot of views already. You know, a lot of people are using it now more than a lot of other platforms. So if they start live streaming, I'll start streaming over there. You know what I mean? Different streams that I can't talk about on YouTube. There's so much I want to do, but I can't do it. My hands are tied.
direct experience in the existence of a supernatural realm where the spirits of the dead may be contacted. Like some hypothetical dimension of quantum physics, this other world interpenetrates our own, and yet cannot ordinarily be seen or verified by empirical tests. It is therefore a matter of great interest, with highly suggestive implications, that tribal shamans claim to have mastered a means through the consumption of a poisonous shrub known locally as iboga or iboga, by which...
No, it's not. It's not an app, Angela. It's just a website. Just go to bitchute.com. You don't even need to sign up for it. You can just go to it and look up any channel you want. And, like, all the videos that are missing off of YouTube from back in the day are there. You'll find everything. And you don't have to sign up if you don't want to. But if you do sign up, you can make your own channel. And you just upload short videos, which is what you do anyway. And they get more views than YouTube. They don't shadow ban them.
humans may reach the other world and return alive. Michael Talbot wrote that these inner regions have been well traveled by shamanic peoples is evidenced by an experience anthropologist Michael Harner had among the Canobo Indians of the Peruvian Amazon. In 1960, the American Museum of Natural History sent Harner on a year-long expedition to study the Canobo, and while there, he asked the Amazonian natives to tell him about their religious beliefs. They told him that if he really wished to learn, he had to take a shamanic sacred drink made from a hallucinogenic plant known as ayahuasca, the soul vine. He agreed, and after drinking the bitter concoction, had an out-of-body experience, in which he traveled to a level of reality populated by what appeared to be the gods and devils of the Canobo's mythology. He saw demons with grinning crocodilian heads. He watched as an energy essence rose up out of his chest and floated toward a dragon-headed ship manned by Egyptian-style figures with blue jay heads, and he felt what they thought was the slow, advancing numbness of his own death. Is it possible that what we have been viewing as quaint folklore and charming but naive mythology are actually sophisticated accounts of the cartography of the similar levels of reality? Calwaite, for one, believes the answer is an emphatic yes. In light of the revolutionary findings of recent research into the nature of dying and death, we can no longer look upon tribal religions and their ideas about the world of the dead as limited conceptions, he says. Rather, the shaman should be considered as a most up-to-date and knowledgeable psychologist. Whether through entheogens, dreams, meditation, chanting, fasting, rhythmic dancing, or drumming, sensory overload, or deprivation, the prerequisite for accessing the nether realms of the implicate order, the key to so-called paranormal or supernatural abilities, always lies in altered states of consciousness. By using various methods to shift awareness from the typical five-sense physical realm, our minds are able to access these higher frequencies and facets of consciousness well known to our shamanic ancestors. Stanislav Grof wrote, "Various techniques are used by a culture to expand the consciousness of an initiate by reducing or eliminating the psychological defenses that separate the world of the supernatural from the world of everyday reality. Such techniques include sleep deprivation, fasting, body mutilation, sonic and photic driving, social isolation, hyperactivity, pressure, suggestion, and in some cases, psychedelic substances." Czech medical doctor and psychiatrist, Vision 97
I don't know,
award
Angela.
winner, and founder of transpersonal psychology, Stanislav Grof.
I don't want people to be able to get in touch with me that easily. But Angela, I could get you my phone number over to you somehow.
Has been working for the better part of 5 decades to improve the world's understanding of psychedelics. In his research, Dr. Grof distinguishes between two pillar states of consciousness he refers to as hylotropic and holotropic. The normal, everyday
You know why I do things the way I do, Angela? It's because I do a lot of police audits, right? So I'm targeted. So I try to kind of like not make it so easy for people to get in touch with me, unless I know who they are and like it's my friend, because I'm just targeted like crazy because of all the audits and activism I do, and even the ones I don't film. There's like so much I do.
experience of consensus reality is hylotropic, whereas interpersonal states reflecting the wholeness and totality of existence are holotropic. In Vedic terms, Dr. Grof relates hylotropic consciousness to Namarupa.
Yeah, Angela, like
the separate, individual.
If you got Sue's number, you can get my number from Sue. You could get my number from Melanie. You can get my number from a lot of the women have my number, and you can get it from them. You can tell them I said it's okay.
And ultimately illusory ego self, while holotropic consciousness relates to Atman, Brahman, the soul essence and divine true nature of the self. Stanislav Grof wrote, "All the cultures in human history, except the Western industrial civilization, have held holotropic states of consciousness in great esteem. They induced them whenever they wanted to connect to their deities, other dimensions of reality, and with the forces of nature. They also used them for diagnosing and healing, cultivation of extrasensory perception, and artistic inspiration. They spent much time and energy to develop safe and effective ways of inducing them. In one of my early books, I suggested that the potential significance of LSD and other psychedelics for psychiatry and psychology was comparable to the value the microscope has for biology or the telescope has for astronomy. My later experience with psychedelics only confirmed this initial impression. These substances function as unspecific amplifiers that increase the cathexis, energetic charge, associated with the deep unconscious contents of the psyche and make them available for conscious processing. This unique property of psychedelics makes it possible to study psychological undercurrents that govern our experiences and behaviors to a depth that cannot be matched by any other method.
Jen's got my number too, Angela. You could ask her.
And tool available in modern mainstream psychiatry and psychology. In addition, it offers unique opportunities for healing of emotional and psychosomatic disorders, for positive personality transformation and consciousness evolution. Since the 1970s, Dr. Grof has been using the psychedelic acid LSD with patients and volunteers in a clinical setting. The extraordinary results these sessions have had on people include curing psychopathy, narcissism, character disorders, and sexual deviations.
If you want, you can come backstage at the end of the show, and I'll put it in the private chat for you, and then you can take it down. And I put the link out at the end for you.
Overcoming addictions, alleviating physical or emotional pain, and dramatically changing concepts and attitudes toward death. In many cases, people had spontaneous glimpses of transpersonal collective consciousness during which their awareness expanded beyond the normal boundaries of the ego and experienced what it was like to be other living beings, animals, plants, and objects. More than just an out-of-body experience. The LSD
See, there it goes again. There it goes again. Look, she's sleeping, and look, she's falling down into her body. That's the feeling I get. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the time. Sometimes I don't remember, and sometimes I do. So it feels like once you do have an out-of-body experience, and you know you did, like, you'll know when it's real. It's not just some, like, bullshit. It really happens. When it really happens to you, or if it ever happens to you, I think it makes it easier for you to leave your body after that. And then it just starts happening while you're sleeping. You start levitating over yourself and stuff. It's weird.
Dr. Groff wrote,
It breaks
the
the
common denominator
barrier.
of this otherwise rich and ramified group is the individual's feeling that his or her consciousness has expanded beyond the usual ego boundaries and has transcended the limitations of time and space. In normal or usual state of consciousness,
Yeah, Sue will
individuals
give it to
experience
you.
themselves as existing within the boundaries of the physical body, and their perception of the environment is restricted by the physically determined range of the
Tell Sue we're
exteroceptors,
live.
both internal
She's late.
perception, interoception, and perception of the environment, exteroception, are confined within the usual space-time boundaries. Under ordinary circumstances,
Sue!
individuals vividly perceive their present situation and their immediate environment. They recall past events and anticipate the
Sue,
future
you're going to
or
have to
fantasize
stay
about
after
it.
class.
In transpersonal experiences occurring
Frequent
in psychedelic
searchology.
sessions, one or several of
Get
the
in the
above
back.
limitations appear to be transcended. In some instances,
And be quiet.
individuals experience loosening of their usual ego boundaries. Their consciousness and self-awareness seem to expand to include and encompass other people, as well as elements of the external world. They can also continue experiencing their own identities, but at a different time, in a different place, or in a different context. In yet other cases, people can experience a complete loss of their own ego identities and feel full identification with the consciousness of some other individual, animal, or even inanimate object. Many of Dr. Groff's patients were able to tap into the consciousness of relatives, ancestors, and historical personages. For example, one woman experienced what it was like to be her own.
Guess what, Sue? Guess what? I'm coming to Cali. I'm coming to Cali to meet Singe Man with Tommy. Maybe you'll have to meet us there, Sue, before Flattoberfest. We're not going to Flattoberfest. We're doing our own thing. Well, Singe Man and Daryl, I think, are still going. But me and Tommy are going to meet them. And we're gonna stay for like 10 days. From like the 10th until the 20th or something. But we're figuring it out. It's not all worked out yet. But it's in the working. And we looked at the plane tickets and we figured out what we need to do. And Singe Man's going to pick us up at the airport. Right, Singe?
I am not Singe. I am Basadara. I predict grand days ahead of this. Coming of the ray from this, I see a concrete jungle. And he's coming to where there's trees. He's never seen a tree before. He'll be quite amazed. I predict this in the name of Basadara Amayo.
It's telling me message blocking is active. Let me check this out. Hold on one second.
It's my winter dragon.
No. It's not letting me send you a message, but
my winter hat.
It'll probably let me call you though. I'm gonna save your number anyway.
Hot. This is my haircut. See how long it is? See those dreadlocks? There's some dreadlocks up here somewhere.
Let me see if this works.
My dreadlocks are very tiny. This hat is so warm though. My Russian hat. I'm an operative. The agency sent me up there recently, so while I was there, oops, it was upside down. The mountain snow dragon was gifted to me from Putin. See, now Ray's got me doing it.
No, it's not letting me call it either. But maybe it's my phone. We'll figure it out. I got your text messages though. That's weird, right? Yours came through, but when I tried to text you back, it didn't go through. And then when I tried to call you, it didn't work. So
mystery worlds. Beyond the veil, we shall look, pushing back the curtain to see the little man laughing at us gleefully.
I will. I'll figure out patches.
Yes, I'm not allowed to do those psychedelic drugs, whatever.
The
shortcut thing. God has commanded. Nay, you must train and fight evil in all its forms. That's what I have to do without the use of crutches.
All right, but I'm not trying to get too deep with you. But like, what God are you talking about? Because I know you believe in God,
The
right?
creator.
The creator, but like, you're a Buddhist
The
too, right?
user. No.
You're a Buddhist.
No.
What are you? What are you?
I am a Jain.
What's a
I
Jain?
practice Jainism.
What is that? Explain it.
I don't actually, but I like it. Jainism is the first of all the Buddhist religions, and they all rooted from that and then broke away. Basically, because of the not weird, it's super strict. They're the guys that don't wear shoes so that they don't harm the world.
Because they're
as they walk.
grounding. They're grounding, dude.
Yeah, they don't want to harm anything. They're like the coolest people ever. Flat earthers, total flat. They know. They're yes. They the symbol used in you know how YouTube is. The symbol used in the war with the two, you know, the symbol for the German guys in the war, how they turned it sideways. Well, before it was Buddhist, right? We all know that, right? So that is a representation it's a map of the four corners of progression through like past life, like reincarnation, to get to the. I think you go from either from out to in or in to out. Well, it's very complicated. Anyway, from them were the Buddhists, the Hindus, and the Sikhs, and they're all very similar, and they're all friends, and they all live in the same neighborhoods because they got to protect each other because everyone persecutes them.
Yeah.
Because of their belief in the creator. So, what are you? Do you believe in a creator?
I believe in Jesus and God all the way.
Just like what?
The
Like
Bible,
the narrative, or do you have
the
your
Bible
own
is a
thing?
book, and it's a little sketchy because this book's missing, and there's over 200 books, and they numbered it down to 66, and I don't know. You know, I believe in the Bible. There's truth in the Bible. There's truth in
66.
but there's missing stuff too. So, also, you know, but I do believe in Jesus. He was real, and he is real, and God is real. So that's where I'm at. That's my slice.
Yeah, I believe in. The Buddhists believe in him too. They believe that he was here too. They say he was comparable to what is called a bodhisattva, one who is already passed on from this world, but come back to teach. And to come back to here is like painful. Obviously, if you can get nailed to a cross, it's pretty painful. So, but you don't care about that.
He knew that was going to happen.
Right. He's so high a level that like that's no big deal. I got to go back and teach. That's high, super high level.
Just like Max Vision probably knew like 3 days ago we were going to ask him to come on the show tonight.
Just like I know he's going to read it tonight and then want to do another show.
Nancy, Page Max Vision.
That show will
Get him
be
in
purely about. Yeah, that show will be more concentrated just on his thing, and maybe we'll do some experiments here in the show. Like, what am I holding in my hand?
A salt shaker. Shake it like a salt shaker.
And relived a traumatic event from her childhood. She even gave such a precise description of her surroundings, the people, and the event, that it shocked her mother into admitting and confirming the incident, which she had never shared with anyone. Another one of Dr. Groff's patients suddenly became convinced she was a prehistoric reptile and provided intricate details about how it felt to have her consciousness contained in such a form, like how she found the patch of colored scales on the side of the male's heads to be sexually arousing, a fact later confirmed by zoologists as being an important mating trigger in certain reptiles. Another patient suddenly found themselves
who
in
wouldn't?
ancient
That's
Egypt
like,
and gave a
whoo,
complete
that's
account of their
sexy.
techniques of embalming and mummification, including specifics like the size and shape of mummy bandages, a list of all the materials used, and the form and meaning of the amulets and sepulchral boxes seen during Egyptian funeral services. Michael Talbot wrote, other patients gave equally accurate descriptions of events that had befallen ancestors who had lived decades and even centuries before. Other experiences included the accessing of racial and collective memories. Individuals of Slavic origin experienced what it was like to participate in the conquests of Genghis Khan's Mongolian hordes, to dance in trance with the Kalahari Bushmen, to undergo the initiation rites of the Australian Aborigines, and to die as sacrificial victims of the Aztecs. And again, the descriptions frequently contained obscure historical facts and a degree of knowledge that was often completely at odds with the patient's education, race, and previous exposure to the subject. There did not seem to be any limit to what Groff's LSD subjects could tap into. They seemed capable of knowing what it was like to be every animal and even plant on the tree of evolution. They could experience what it was like to be a blood cell, an atom, a thermonuclear process inside the sun, the consciousness of the entire planet, and even the consciousness of the entire cosmos. In one remarkable case, Dr. Groff's patient found himself in a dimension inhabited by thousands of luminescent discarnate beings. One of them communicated with him telepathically and pleaded with him to contact a couple in the Moravian city of Kromeritz and tell them that their son Ladislav was well taken care of and doing just fine. He was even given their names, street address, and telephone number. When Dr. Groff himself called the number, he asked to speak with Ladislav, and the woman on the phone began to cry and said, "Our son is not with us anymore. He passed away. We lost him 3 weeks ago." Stanislav Grof wrote, "We are now beginning to learn that Western science might have been a little premature in making its condemning and condescending judgments about the ancient systems of thought. Reports describing subjective experiences of clinical death, if studied carefully and with an open mind, contain ample evidence that various eschatological mythologies represent actual maps of unusual states of consciousness experienced by dying individuals. Psychedelic research conducted in the last 2 decades has resulted in important phenomenological and neurophysiological data indicating that experiences involving complex mythological, religious, and mystical sequences before, during, and after death might well represent clinical reality." Shortly after his 3rd LSD session, one of Dr. Groff's patients actually got into a bad accident during which he went through a typical near-death experience. Afterwards, he stated that he found the experience of actually dying to be extremely similar to his psychedelic experiences. He emphasized how glad he was to have had 3 LSD sessions before his accident because they were excellent training and preparation. Without the sessions, he said, "I would have been scared by what was happening."
I have a cool song about this that I'm going to play at the end of when I was like 15 or 16 rapping.
But knowing these states, I was not afraid at all. Dr. Groff wrote,
Were you working in
"Individuals
a
who have suffered through
warehouse?
the death-rebirth phenomenon in their psychedelic sessions usually become open to the possibility that consciousness might be independent of the physical body and continue beyond the moment of clinical death. This insight can be quite different from, or even contrary to, previous religious and philosophical beliefs. Those who were previously convinced that death was the ultimate defeat and meant the end of any form of existence discovered various alternatives to this materialistic and pragmatic point of view. They came to realize how little conclusive evidence there is for any authoritative opinion on this matter, and often began seeing death and dying as a cosmic voyage into the unknown. I have personally experimented with LSD and other entheogens periodically, and have always found the experiences to be very healing and transformative. They have shown me directly how consciousness can exist outside the physical body, how we can see and hear without using our eyes and ears. They have taken me deep into my subconscious, exposed the illusion of personal identity, and given me a momentary but timeless experience of perfect bliss, contentment, and complete at-one-ment with all that is. I remember telling my friend once during a mushroom trip, "I can't believe there aren't whole religions based around this experience." Little did I know there are indeed many religions throughout the world based around the ingestion of an entheogenic sacrament. Dr. Groff wrote, "LSD subjects often arrive at the conclusion that no real boundaries exist between themselves and the rest of the universe. Everything appears to be part of a unified field of cosmic energy, and the boundaries of the individual are identical with the boundaries of existence itself. From this perspective, the distinction between the ordinary and the sacred disappears, and the individual, who essentially is the universe, becomes sacralized. The universe is seen as an ever-unfolding drama of endless adventures in consciousness, very much in the sense of the Hindu Leela or divine play. Against the background of this infinitely complex and eternal cosmic drama, the fact of impending individual destruction seems to lose its tragic significance. In this situation, death as we frequently see it, the end of everything, the ultimate catastrophe, ceases to exist. It is now understood as a transition in consciousness, a shift to another level or form of existence." American medical doctor and psychiatrist Rick Strassman has been working diligently to improve our understanding of entheogens, specifically dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. In 1990, Dr. Strassman broke a 20-year prohibition on psychedelic experiments in America when he began his work giving intravenous doses of the world's strongest psychedelic to patients and volunteers. Like Dr. Groff's LSD subjects, Dr. Strassman's DMT subjects found the experience to be overwhelmingly positive with a myriad of long-term benefits. Dr. Strassman wrote, "Volunteers reported a stronger sense of self, less fear of death, and greater appreciation of life. Some found they were better able to relax, and they pushed themselves a little less. Several volunteers drank less alcohol, or noted they were more sensitive to psychedelic drugs. Others believed with greater clarity that there are different levels of reality. DMT is such a powerful...
They are using psychedelics to get people off of hard drugs.
psychedelic that it completely melts away the veil of this reality and transports consciousness into an entirely other dimension, occupied by everything from advice-giving telepathic rainbows to body-snatching demonic gremlins. Whether your eyes stay open or closed, these so-called hallucinations completely immerse and ensconce themselves into your consciousness, taking you out of your body and often out of this world. The effects then wear off after about 10 minutes when smoked, 30 minutes when injected, and after 3 or 4 hours when made into ayahuasca tea. Dr. Strassman's patients said in the long term, their DMT experiences made them more open-minded and laid back, caused their thoughts and feelings to be better integrated and overlap more, with their fear of death, and gave them a more real sense of connectedness to everything and everyone. One of his patients, named Alina, said, "Most of my experiences fade with time. Not so with DMT. Outside me, not much is different. Inside, I rest in the comfort of knowing my soul is eternal and my consciousness endless." Another patient, Cleo, related how during her DMT trip, a cascading rainbow of colors telepathically communicated with her, telling her that she had been looking for God outside, but instead to go in, that God was in every cell of her body. The colors kept telling me things, but they were telling me things so I not only heard what I was seeing, but also felt it in my cells. I say felt, but it was like no other felt, more like a knowing that was happening in my cells, that God is in everything, and that we are all connected, and that God dances in every cell of life, and that every cell of life dances in God. I am changed. I will never be the same. To simply say this almost seems to lessen the experience. I don't think that anyone hearing or reading this can truly grasp what I felt, can really understand it deeply and completely. The euphoria goes on into eternity, and I am part of that eternity. Due to all the miraculous, revelatory, and otherworldly experiences shared by his DMT subjects, Dr. Strassman dubbed dimethyltryptamine the spirit molecule. The parallels between classic mystical or spiritual experiences and what people experienced with the spirit molecule were too similar to ignore. During both DMT trips and mystical experiences, time, space, and matter all become secondary to consciousness. The separation between self and non-self disappears, and personal identity fades into identification with all of existence. Past, present, and future all meld together into one timeless moment of eternity. Space is no longer here or there, but everywhere as one. There is only here, now, and travel happens at the speed of thought. Stanislav Grof wrote, "In altered states of consciousness, this new perception of the world becomes dominant and compelling. It completely overrides the everyday illusion of Newtonian reality, where we seem to be skin-encapsulated egos existing in a world of separate beings and objects. In extreme forms of transpersonal perception, we can experience ourselves as the whole biosphere of our planet, or the entire material universe." Further to their revelatory and spiritual experiences, many of Dr. Strassman's patients also reported experiencing a typical NDE while under DMT. They felt themselves lift out of their bodies, saw and entered tunnels of light, heard celestial music, encountered angels or light beings, felt absolute peace and painlessness, and were reluctant to come back into their bodies. For example, one of his patients, Willow, described her experience saying, "First I saw a tunnel or channel of light off to the right. There was a sound like music, like a score, but unfamiliar to me, supporting the emotional tone of the events and drawing me in. There were large beings in the tunnel, on the right side, next to me. It was so much more real than life. I felt strongly, this is dying, and this is okay. I had a sense of dying, letting go and separating, after the beings in the tunnel helped me along. It's like a cosmic joke. If we all knew what was waiting for us, we'd all kill ourselves. That's why we stay in this form for so long, to figure that out. Everyone should try a high dose of DMT once. That place is so full and so complete. When I came back into my body, it was so heavy and so confining." Dr. Rick Strassman wrote, "Her consciousness separated from her body. She moved rapidly through a tunnel or tunnels, toward a warm, loving, all-knowing white light. Beings helped her on the way, and some even threatened to drag her down. Beautiful music accompanied her on the early stages of the journey. Time and space lost all meaning. She was tempted not to return, but realized she needed to share the incredible information she received with this world." Her comment about everyone committing suicide if they knew how great the afterlife is points out another similarity between Willow's experiences and those of naturally occurring NDEs. That is, those who have had an NDE do not rush off to suicide. Rather, they reside in the knowledge that there is life after death, and that transition loses its sting. Thus, they are able to live life more fully, because the fear of death that drives so many to distraction is now so much less. As mentioned earlier, many entheogens have long been known to induce the death-rebirth experience, and none are stronger than DMT. Several of Dr. Strassman's patients reported experiencing phenomena similar to what is outlined in the Egyptian and Tibetan books of the dead. ancient texts regarding the process of death and the various states of consciousness the soul passes through on its afterlife journey. Elena shared that, more than once, the DMT sessions gave me the gift of truly subjectively knowing the phenomenon described in Introductions to the Dead in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Another of Dr. Strassman's patients, Eli, said, I was relaxed and the environment began to change noticeably. I knew I was going through the first bardo of death, that I had been here many times before, and it was okay. I had broken out of time and space. I no longer fear death. It's like you're there one minute, and then you're somewhere else, and that's just how it is. These experiments are helping me in my reading of the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. I know what it's like to be totally free. Another patient, Joseph, noted, I think the high dose is like death trauma. It knocks you out of your body. This would be a good drug for people in a hospice program, or the terminally ill to have some acquaintance with. One of the most incredible facts about DMT is that it is endogenous to humans and produced by our pineal glands. The pineal gland, the only unpaired organ in the brain, is located at the geometric center of the head between the eyebrows. This mystical point, focused on during meditation, symbolized by the Hindu bindi, is what Descartes famously called the seat of the soul. It is also known as the third eye, because it can sense light, and in certain birds, amphibians, and reptiles, it even has a lens, cornea, and retina. So why is this death rebirth-inducing, strongest psychedelic in the world produced inside our pineal glands? What exactly is its function? Dr. Strassman wrote, DMT is closely related to serotonin, the neurotransmitter that psychedelics affect so widely. The pharmacology of DMT is similar to that of other well-known psychedelics. It affects receptor sites for serotonin in much the same way that LSD, psilocybin, and mescaline do. These serotonin receptors are widespread throughout the body and can be found in blood vessels, muscle, glands, and skin. However, the brain is where DMT exerts its most interesting effects. There, sites rich in these DMT-sensitive serotonin receptors are involved in mood, perception, and thought. Although the brain denies access to most drugs and chemicals, it takes a particular and remarkable fancy to DMT. It is not stretching the truth to suggest that the brain hungers for it. In human embryos, the pineal gland becomes visible and releases its first burst of DMT 49 days after conception. This is also the exact moment when an embryo becomes a fetus and the gender of the baby is determined. At birth, there is another burst of DMT. Then regularly every night for the rest of our lives during REM sleep, our pineal glands excrete DMT and trip us out into various dream states. Finally, the last and largest DMT burst of our lives happens at the moment of physical death. Dr. Strassman wrote, the human pineal gland becomes visible in the developing fetus at 7 weeks, or 49 days after conception. Of great interest to me was finding out that this is nearly exactly the moment in which one can clearly see the first indication of male or female gender. Before this time, the sex of the fetus is indeterminate, or unknown. Thus, the pineal gland and the most important differentiation of humanity, male and female gender, appear at the same time. When our individual life force enters our fetal body, the moment in which we become truly human, it passes through the pineal and triggers the first primordial flood of DMT. Later, at birth, the pineal releases more DMT. In some of us, pineal DMT mediates the pivotal experiences of deep meditation, psychosis, and near-death experiences. As we die, the life force leaves the body through the pineal gland, releasing another flood of this psychedelic molecule. Traditional Chinese funerals are 49 days long. The Tibetan Book of the Dead states that it takes 49 days for a recently deceased soul to travel from one physical body into the next. It also contains 49 days worth of specific passages for friends and family to read aloud to assist the deceased in their transition. 49 days after Easter is Pentecost, the day when tongues of fire came into the temple and rested upon the heads of the elders. Symbolically, this could mean their crown chakras were illuminated, pineal glands functioning, and the spirit came down onto them, just as literally 49 days after conception, the fetal pineal gland begins functioning and the gender is determined. Are these 49s all just a coincidence, or is this mystical number the time it takes for deceased souls to reincarnate? The Catholic Church celebrates the Immaculate Conception on December 8th, exactly 9 months before Mary's birthday, and celebrates the Incarnation of Christ on March 25th, exactly 9 months before Christmas. Is this why the death and conception of Jesus can happen simultaneously? Because we are all reconceived, reincarnated, at the moment of our deaths, and 49 days later, our soul enters the embryo through a burst of pineal DMT? Dr. Strassman wrote, I already knew that the Tibetan Buddhist Book of the Dead teaches that it takes 49 days for the soul of the recently dead to reincarnate. That is, 7 weeks from the time of death of one person elapses until the life forces rebirth into its next body. I remember very clearly, several years later, feeling the chill along my spine when reading my book of human fetal development I discovered this same 49-day interval marking 2 landmark events in human embryo formation. It takes 49 days from conception for the first signs of the human pineal to appear. 49 days is also when the fetus differentiates into male or female gender. Thus, the soul's rebirth, the pineal, and the sexual organs all require 49 days before they manifest. Then, as we die, if near-death experiences are any indication, there is a profound shift in consciousness away from identification with the body. Pineal DMT makes available those particular non-embodied contents of consciousness. All the factors previously described combine for one final burst of DMT production: catecholamine release, decreased breakdown and increased formation of DMT, reduced anti-DMT, and decomposing pineal tissue. Therefore, it may be that the pineal is the most active organ in the body at the time of death. Might we say that the life force therefore exits the body through the pineal? It seems very likely that our souls enter and exit physical bodies via the pineal gland, third eye. Robert Monroe, Robert Bruce, and other out-of-body experts have reported the third eye as the main contact point, where consciousness enters or exits the physical body during OBEs. Several near-death experiencers talk about the silver cord, a long, bright, elastic
What's
cable
up,
of light
Daryl?
which extends from the third eye of their physical body, attached to their disembodied consciousness wherever it goes. René Descartes noticed he could only think one thought at a time and guessed it must be the pineal gland, the only singular unpaired organ in the brain, responsible for these singular unpaired thoughts. He even went so far as to call it the seat of the soul, which certainly concurs with Dr. Strassman's findings. Both intravenous DMT injections and endogenous pineal DMT conclusively cause out-of-body near-death experiences and play a key role in the birth-death process. Dr. Strassman wrote, "While the release of neuroprotective compounds near death certainly is a useful response, the psychedelic side effects are not as obviously beneficial. We must therefore wonder, are these spiritual properties a coincidence, or do they have a purpose? I suggest that near-death chemicals released by the brain are psychedelic
Hey,
for this."
Daryl, we're coming, bro. We're coming. Me, Tommy. We want to come around the 10th, maybe. Michelle said it's okay. I looked at the plane tickets. They're not really that much. I think it's doable. I don't know. Talk to Singe Man. He's gonna pick me and Tommy up from the airport or some shit. But we're gonna come if you want us to.
This reason. They must be. It is similar to asking why there is silicon in computer chips. Silicon works. It does the job. Near-death brain products are psychedelic because those are the properties consciousness requires at that time. Psychedelic compounds released near death mediate consciousness exiting the body. This is their function, and this is what they do. DMT is a spirit molecule, just as silicon is a chip molecule. Rather than just causing the mind to feel as if it were leaving the body, DMT release is the means by which the mind senses the departure of the life force from it, the content of consciousness as it leaves the body. Stanislav Grof wrote, "Activation and opening of the transpersonal area in the unconscious of dying individuals can have far-reaching consequences for their concepts of death, their attitudes toward the situation they are facing, and their abilities to accept physical mortality. Those who see themselves as an insignificant and impermanent speck of dust in an immense universe become open to the possibility that the dimensions of their own beings are commensurate with the..."
Well, yeah, we're figuring it all out, man. Like, it seems like it's coming together. It's all, we got to see what
You said
happens.
the universe.
Yeah. Well, he also said the universe is within your body.
Macrocosm and microcosm.
I'm just joking.
Consciousness
It's all
here
semantics.
appears as a primary characteristic of existence, preceding matter and superordinated to it, rather than being a product of physiological processes in the brain. It seems to be quite plausible that consciousness and awareness are essentially independent of the gross matter of the body and brain, and will continue beyond the point of physical demise. This alternative is experienced in a way that is at least as complex, vivid, and self-evident as the perception of reality in usual states of consciousness. The transcendental impact of these experiences is usually stronger in those individuals who, prior to entering the transpersonal realms, went through the experience of ego death and rebirth. The memory that consciousness emerged intact from this seemingly final annihilation constitutes a powerful emotional and cognitive model for
I'm going to the rave first in New York City, Daryl. I put the link in earlier for it, August 12th, to be announced. I know it's in Long Island somewhere, but they're going to announce the location eventually. It's all set, so after the rave, things will be going good, and I'm going to get a ticket and get the fuck out there.
understanding the process of actual death.
We're bringing the chicken shack to the rave. There's going to be people making hash on the spot, dude. Hash on the spot. It's going to be nuts. And we're going to have Flat Earth Farms stuff set up at the table, too. So, like, I'm going to this rave with all these ravers, and I might be the only... Well, I probably won't be the only Flat Earther there. I'm sure some of them are already. But it's like the real ravers. It's like the people that really did the raves back in the day. They're still doing it, you know? They're, like, in their 50s now. But they have, like, real DJs coming in, and they're going to have people rapping. And they're going to have all kinds of... It's on Facebook. I'll put the link in again. It's like anyone could probably go. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anyone can go, but they didn't announce the exact location yet. But we're gonna have a Flat Earth Farm. I'm gonna be representing the Flat Earthers for you guys. I'm flat earthing people. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right. So that's over. All right. So like I was saying earlier, right? They really do use like psychedelics for drug treatment now. Look at this. Boom. Inside Ibogaine. Drug addiction. Time magazine. Look. Iboga Treatment Rehab, the Recovery Village. They have some treatment centers that are open in the United States that treat with this. It's a psychedelic substance found in Iboga, a Western African shrub. Historically, it has been used in healing ceremonies. Oh, you guys can't see it. Hold on. Here it is. Psychedelics found in Iboga, Western African shrub. Historically, it has been used in healing ceremonies and initiation rituals in the Bwiti region of West Africa. Today, some people claim it can be used as treatment for opiate addiction. It has been approved by the FDA for any addictive disorder and is classified as a Schedule I drug in the United States. Ibogaine acts as a mild stimulant in small doses. In large doses, you trip your balls off. It can put a person into a severe psychedelic state. Some people have found that large doses reduce opiate withdrawal symptoms with help with substance-related cravings. People with substance abuse, have found that large doses of it can reduce withdrawal from opiates and help rid them of their substance-related cravings. In many cases, however, the effects are short-lived. The safety of this treatment is also in question. So, what does the research say? In a long-term study in Mexico, investigators researched the substance abuse changes in 30 people seeking Ibogaine-based addiction treatment for opiate substance abuse. The researchers measured frequency, frequent searchology 101, baby, boom, sit in the back of the class and shut up. And dosage of opiate use at the beginning of treatment at monthly follow-ups for 12 months. They also conducted a survey that asked basic questions on topics such as medical status, employment status. Yeah, I wouldn't answer any of those questions. 1/3 of the participants relapse within the first month. That's not very good odds. 60% relapse within the first two months. 80% relapse within the first 6 months, and 20% made it more than 6 months without aftercare. 4 of the 30 participants did not relapse for more than a year following a single treatment. Well, at least, they say like 1 out of every 30 make it. Anyway, researchers determined that Ibogaine is not a cure for addiction. Instead, it merely interrupts addiction. It is important to note the sample size was only 30 people, and therefore, so if one of them made it, good for you. Because you're lucky to even get that. Jesus. All right. God help them. All right. You guys want to hear something? All right. Here's a track that I made when I was like 15. Okay.
Sugar cubes is what I used to do. Liquid frying your brains and mine too. Love to sit back and pop tabs. Tripping so high, don't know where my herb at. Taking shit out my pockets, what the fuck is that? Blasted on 10 tabs of acid. Fantastic colors feel like plastic. Laughing uncontrollably for hours. Only cost $5. Wow, pop your collars. Don't go too far. Don't forget to tip the bar. Driving a car, thinking you're in a sandstorm at 6 a.m. Don't know why you should go home yet. Run into a pole and bump your head. Bleeding out your eye socket, blowing snot rockets. See, shorty, tears coming out your eyes, you ain't crying. Took 6 tabs tonight, I ain't lying. You can't OD on LSD, who's dying? Fucked up while you dining. Food looking like bloody maxi pads, stomach full of gas, taking in acid tabs. I can fill this whole paragraph, but I won't. Eat that drop, I say you don't, I will. Microdot pill, it can't be real, I'm wrecked, I can still feel. It ain't going away yet, been up for days, haven't slept. The sun's rays have crept, no stress. Want a fresh sweats, can feel it in my back, on my bed. Tossing and turning, seeing red. So much shit in my spine, I should be dead. Deep thoughts and dread.
Acid, bitch. Asthmative. 2 hits on the tongue, fucking 1 in the eyelid. Couldn't understand it. Can you handle it? You think I had a plan, kid, to take you and dismantle it? I need a tab so bad. I fucking spit your whip for it, a liquid. This is vicious, but you quitted when it kicked in. This is vicious, but you quitted when it kicked in. This is vicious, but you quitted when it kicked in. See shit when you're listening, something else is visiting. And just when you think everything's normal again, and I seen you at Whitehand, all stupid and laughing, like what the fuck's happening? Gasping for air, is it there or is it isn't? That hate corner, a rat or a grimy pigeon. Wishing that you didn't, but it's too late. You're on a date with Lucy in the sky that you hate. Masturbate your snake for fake, but just wait. Put down the knife, stop bugging, bitch, and be safe. My back hurts, I think I better stop. Crops coming lost. I'm off with more micro dots, and I pop tabs and blocks. Double liquid drops, when cops get locked. Popping on the pot, blocks get jocked. I'm half cocked, won't quit till I'm bopped, caught and sent off. So don't fuck up my trip, or you beat, robbed, and kicked, bitch, and slapped in your lips. Got me pissed, spoke to flip, and have bloody fists in an instant. Instead, I might just use my head. Your face is all bruised up, purple and red. The walls are dripping when I'm tripping, spinning different visions, patterns different, got me flipping, put it on the written, spitting when I'm ripping. Your stupid ass ain't even hitting, my finger licking blizz when it's littin'. You pussy like a kitten, no bullshitting, sitting around with nowhere to go, nothing to do, cause we ran out of dro. And no cubes to chew, cause we just ate them up all. I'm 5'9", thinking I'm 9 foot 5 tall. Oh no, I just so chest getting tight and I need a oh, fade to black, now I'm back in a flash. And when the shit wears off, I'ma need a motherfucking flashback to get me back up the blackouts till I drop another dose, feeling like water, and I can't feel my toes. I'm all fucked up cause of the ill ass evil drug that I chose. You never know how it goes. Oh.
Fair and loathing, looking at your clothing, melting and molding. It's getting olden. I gotta go, so bye for now. Turn the shit up, smile, don't frown, you fucking clown.
What the fuck, Scabs? You just crippled a sped. Oops, I'm out. What the fuck was that all about? Shit, the 10 strip plus a 6 hit.
Yeah, that was good. You know, for a 15-year-old. No, not bad for a 15-year-old. You know, produced it, we rapped it. The beat my brother made. You know what I mean? The whole thing was like original. It's pretty good. It's old school stuff. But all right. Let's see. All right. So we were talking a little bit about deja vu. And I don't really want to Eric Dubé the shit out of you, but he has like all these videos on all these topics. So it's
Receiving direct
Too late.
perception of the future, precognition, is another common psi ability with a long-standing history. Precognition
I
is
gotta go.
usually achieved
Anyway.
through prophetic dreams, during
all right.
deep meditation,
Good night, Singe.
or
Are you gonna play
spontaneously
more
as
Eric
images
Dubé,
in the
huh?
mind's
Okay.
eye. The
I
existence
guess
of this
it's good
paranormal
enough.
ability, however, once again goes against the Newtonian grain and strikes close to the heart of people's conceptions of time and free will. Because if precognition
You slept. Warning, the self-destruct system has been activated. Option to override self-destruct expires in 10 minutes.
All right, yeah, that's where we were. Okay. Whoa.
is real, then the future must in some sense be pre-written and determined. Albert Einstein wrote, "Time is not at all what it seems. It does not flow in only one direction, and the future exists simultaneously with the past. The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubborn, persistent illusion." David Bohm wrote, "Both in common experience and in physics, time has generally been considered to be a primary, independent, and universally applicable order, perhaps the most fundamental one known to us. Now we have been led to propose that it is secondary, and that, like space, it is to be derived from a higher dimensional ground, as a particular order." And Ervin Laszlo wrote, "When asked to define time, the physicist John Wheeler once replied that time is what stops everything from happening at once. Scientists are still searching for a good definition, because the problem of time is that it doesn't appear to exist." I have personally experienced precognition on a few occasions, but none as amazing or memorable as the following. During college, I had what seemed to be a normal dream, involving myself and my friend wearing our typical attire, talking outside my dorm about what we wanted to do that day. Now, I didn't remember even having the dream until the next day, as my friend and I were approaching my dorm. Every word she said started triggering the clearest, most mind-blowing deja vu as the dream came flooding back to me. We were both wearing the same clothes I'd envisioned. We were standing in the same place, and every word she said was exactly as I had dreamt. Seizing the opportunity to test and manifest this amazing clarity of deja vu I was experiencing, I quickly blurted out the entire next sentence that I knew she would be saying, and matched her word for word in real time. Stunned at my simultaneous telepathic mocking, she abruptly stopped talking, and I laughed uncontrollably, trying to explain the whole thing. That and other precognitive experiences forever changed my perception of the arrow of time. If time is truly linear, then we can only remember the past, and cannot in any way remember the future. But if it is impossible to remember the future, then what was my dream? How was I able to vividly see and remember the entire scenario in precise detail the night before it happened? I guarantee anyone who felt my paradigm-crushing deja vu would agree that this synchronicity was far beyond some quirky coincidence. Michael Talbot wrote, "Even our most ancient writings pay homage to the premonitory power of dreams, as is evidenced in the biblical account of Pharaoh's dream of 7 fat and 7 lean cows. The proximity the unconscious mind has to the atemporal realm of the implicate may also play a role. Because our dreaming self is deeper in the psyche than our conscious self, and thus closer to the primal ocean in which past, present, and future become one, it may be easier for it to access information about the future. David Icke wrote, "One near-death experiencer described what he saw once the filter of human perception was lifted. He talked of seeing the panoramic view of life. Everything from the beginning, my birth, my ancestors, my children, my wife, everything comes together simultaneously. I saw everything about me, and about everyone who was around me."
I never had a near-death experience like that, but like I heard people who have, and they're different people after they come back and they're like not the same.
I saw everything they were thinking now, what they thought then, what was happening before, what was happening now. There is no time. There is no sequence of events. No such thing as limitation, of distance, of period, of time, of place. I could be anywhere I wanted to be, simultaneously. President Lincoln dreamt of his own assassination a week before he died. British aeronautics engineer J.W. Dunn.
President Lincoln might have been a giant. He might have been a giant or a descendant of a giant.
Documented several prophetic dreams come true in his 1927 book, An Experiment with Time. There are even 19 documented cases of people who precognitively saw the sinking of the Titanic. Some by passengers who acknowledged their premonitions and survived, others by passengers who ignored their intuition and drowned, and others still by non-passengers. Swedish scientist and mystic Emanuel Swedenborg had a gift for precognition and documented many independently verified examples. One evening, on June 19, 1759, upon arriving at a dinner party in Göteborg, Swedenborg had a vision of Stockholm burning 300 miles away. He told everyone in attendance, including the mayor, about the blazing fire and that it had stopped only 3 doors from his home. The next day, a messenger from Stockholm arrived and confirmed Swedenborg's incredible vision. Dutch psychic Gerard Croiset was well known for the several chair tests he accurately predicted. First, the experimenter randomly selected a chair from the seating plan of some upcoming public event in a large theater, stadium, or auditorium anywhere in the world. There could be no reserved seating to prevent possible collusion or trickery. Then, without telling him the name, the location, or the event, knowing only the date and the seating plan, Croiset consistently gave accurate and detailed descriptions of the people who would be sitting in any given chair. Over the course of 25 years, numerous investigators in Europe and America were stunned by Croiset's accurate predictions, including specifics like gender, dress, features, occupation, and personality. Michael Talbot wrote, "For instance, on January 6, 1969, in a study conducted by Dr. Jewel Eisenbud, a clinical professor of psychiatry at the University of Colorado Medical School, Croiset was told that a chair had been chosen for an event that would take place on January 23, 1969. Croiset, who was in Utrecht, Holland, at the time, told Eisenbud that the person who would sit in the chair would be a man 5 feet 9 inches in height, who brushed his black hair straight back, had a gold tooth in his lower jaw, a scar on his big toe, who worked in both science and industry, and sometimes got his lab coat stained by a greenish chemical." On January 23, 1969, the man who sat down in the chair, which was in an auditorium in Denver, Colorado, fit Croiset's description in every way but one. He was not 5 feet 9, but 5 feet 9 3/4. Psi researcher Dean Radin highlighted the interesting case of Anne Ring in his Entangled Minds book. She sent him the following in a letter. "Many years ago, I had a very strange dream concerning my father. I dreamt that he was decorating the house, the way we do in England, or used to, with paper chains, holly, etc., except the decorations he was using were not the type used for Christmas. Suddenly, he sat down on a chair and collapsed, and he died. I woke up crying so loudly that it woke up my husband. I looked at the clock, and it was exactly 2 a.m. California time. I told my husband the dream, and he just said, 'Well, it's nothing. You are always having strange dreams. Go back to sleep.' But the dream had disturbed me, and it took a long while for me to get back to sleep. The following morning was Thanksgiving Day, and as I was preparing the meal, the telephone rang, and it was my brother, calling from London, to say my father had died. It was a terrible shock because I had seen him in May of that year, and he was in robust health. In fact, he had not ever been ill or in hospital in his life. I asked my brother when it had happened, and he replied that our stepmother had just called him and told him it had happened at 10 a.m. London time, the exact moment that I had the dream, 2 a.m. California time. By the way, he was putting up decorations because it was his wedding anniversary to my stepmother, and they were going to have a party that night." Dean Radin wrote, "How shall we interpret this experience? Is it a poignant coincidence, or is it a case of genuine clairvoyance? This was the one and only time Mrs. Ring ever had a dream like this, and it contained details and timings that matched real-world events. I've been told similar experiences by professors at major universities, by program directors at the NSF, and by generals in the Army. These are not naive people prone to fantasy. They appreciate the difference between meaningless coincidence and genuinely exceptional events. The most rigorous scientific study of dream psi ever took place at the Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn, New York. Over the course of several years, psychologists Montague Ullman and Stanley Krippner ran hundreds of in-house and at-home dream sessions with thousands of volunteers. Experiments usually involved trying to predict random images chosen by computer and displayed overnight in a locked room at the Dream Lab. Each day, volunteers attempted to dream of tomorrow's picture, then recorded their impressions for Ullman and Krippner to cross-check. In 2003, when British psychologists Simon Sherwood and Chris Rowe performed a meta-analysis of all the Maimonides dream psi results, they found that the overall hit rate was associated with odds against chance of 22 billion to 1. Michael Talbot wrote, in his work at the Dream Laboratory at Maimonides Medical Center, Montague Ullman, along with psychologist Stanley Krippner and researcher Charles Honorton, produced compelling evidence that accurate precognitive information can also be obtained in dreams. In their study, volunteers were asked to spend 8 consecutive nights at the sleep laboratory, and each night they were asked to try to dream about a picture that would be chosen at random the next day and shown to them. Ullman and his colleagues hoped to get 1 success out of 8, but found that some subjects could score as many as 5 hits out of 8. For example, after waking, one volunteer said that he had dreamed of a large concrete building from which a patient was trying to escape. The patient had a white coat on, like a doctor's coat, and had gotten only as far as the archway. The painting chosen at random the next day turned out to be Van Gogh's Hospital Corridor at St. Remy, a watercolor depicting a lone patient standing at the end of a bleak and massive hallway, exiting through a door beneath an archway. Other evidence, such as psychic forced choice experiments, also supports this idea that we can see into the future. These entail having participants guess the outcome of future events with calculable possibilities, like what playing card will turn up or what dice number will roll. In 1989, the Maimonides Center's Charles Honorton and Diane Ferrari published a meta-analysis of all forced choice precognition experiments conducted since 1935. They found 309 studies with 50,000 participants, totaling 2 million trials, where the time between prediction and event ranged from milliseconds to a year. The results were surprisingly positive, with odds against chance of 10 million billion to 1. One of the most convincing and astonishing proofs of precognition was discovered when University of Amsterdam's Dr. Dick Bierman hooked several poker players to electrodermal instruments to test learned responses in gambling addicts. He found that they all registered rapid changes in electrodermal activity just before being handed their cards. Not only this, but the differences in EDA corresponded with the type of cards being drawn. When about to receive a bad hand, participants showed physiological activity indicating a heightened fight-or-flight response. When about to receive a favorable hand, their EDA calmed towards a relaxation response. This indicates that on a subconscious physiological level, somehow, we already know the future. Building on Bierman's work, Dean Radin also hooked volunteers up to electrodermal and other physiological instruments, heart rate, blood pressure, skin conductivity, etc., to test for recordable physical effects of anticipating future stimuli. In his experiment, volunteers would click a mouse button, wait 5 seconds, view a random picture displayed on their monitor for 3 seconds, then watch as the screen went blank for 10 seconds and began again. The images randomly shown were either tranquil photos, such as landscapes and nature scenes, or disturbing photos, such as autopsies and erotica. Lynn McTaggart wrote, as expected, the participant's body would calm down immediately after he or she observed the tranquil scenes, and became aroused after being confronted by the erotic or disturbing. Naturally, study participants recorded the largest response once they'd seen the photos. However, what Radin discovered was that his subjects were also anticipating what they were about to see, registering physiological responses before they'd seen the photo. As if trying to brace themselves, the responses were highest before they saw an image that was disturbing. Blood pressure would drop in the extremities about a second before the image was flashed. Dean Radin wrote, the idea of presentiment assumes that we are constantly and unconsciously scanning our future and preparing to respond to it. If this is true, then whenever our future involves an emotional response, we'd predict that our nervous system would become aroused before the emotional picture appears. As expected, skin conductance reacted 2 to 3 seconds after the presentation of an emotional stimulus, and the expected differences between the calm and emotional responses were clearly evident. But the presentiment effect, which was predicted to occur before the stimulus, was also observed. The skin conductance levels were virtually identical before the button press, but as soon as the button was pressed, they began to diverge in accordance with the future stimulus. Nobel laureate Kary Mullis had the opportunity to participate in Dean Radin's presentiment experiment and was quite impressed with the results. He went on National Public Radio's May 1999 Science Friday program afterwards, stating, I could see about 3 seconds into the future. It's spooky. You sit there and watch this little trace, and about 3 seconds, on average, before the picture comes on, you have a little response in your skin conductivity, which is the same direction that a large response occurs after you see the picture. Some pictures make you have a rise in conductivity, some make you have a fall. He's done that over and over again with people. That, with me, is on the edge of physics itself, with time. There's something funny about time that we don't understand, because you shouldn't be able to do that. In 2004, psychophysiologist Roland McCready replicated Bierman and Radin's experiments and published his results in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. With odds against chance of 1,000 to 1, he found that heart rate significantly slowed before future disturbing pictures, and that the brain responded differently before the two different types of stimuli. Dean Radin wrote, "Lest we forget what's going on in this experiment, it's useful to be reminded what these results mean. The brains of both men and women were activated in specific areas before erotic pictures appeared, even though no one knew in advance that those pictures were about to be selected. In other words, the brain is responding to future events." Given the controversial nature of this claim, Bierman discussed in detail alternative explanations for these results. He concluded that the fMRI results were valid and in agreement with the other studies, based on skin conductance and heart and brain measures. When you step back from the details of these studies, what you find is a spectacular body of converging evidence indicating that our understanding of time is seriously incomplete. These studies mean that some aspect of our minds can perceive the future, not infer the future or anticipate the future or figure out the future, but actually perceive it. In ordinary states of consciousness, and without the aid of technology, most people are able to remember the past, but not the future. This has led to the philosophical idea of an arrow of time, shooting from past to future with us riding along the present. In altered states of consciousness or with the aid of technology, however, many people, myself included, have been able to experience and remember future events in detail. Perhaps then, it is more likely that time, as our ancient ancestors believed, is cyclic and infinite, not straight and finite. It seems that ultimately, our consciousness exists outside of this time-space-matter explicate hologram, and therefore, under the right conditions, has the ability to access and experience anything in the implicate. Physicist David Bohm concurred and wrote that, when people dream of accidents correctly and do not take the plane or ship, it is not the actual future that they were seeing. It was merely something in the present which is implicate and moving toward making that future. In fact, the future they saw differed from the actual future because they altered it. Therefore, I think it's more plausible to say that if these phenomena exist, there's an anticipation of the future in the implicate order in the present. As they used to say, coming events cast their shadows in the present. Their shadows are being cast deep in the implicate order. Michael Talbot wrote, "Such incidents strongly suggest that the future is not set, but is plastic and can be changed. But this view also brings with it a problem. If the future is still in a state of flux, what is Croisset tapping into when he describes the individual who will sit down in a particular chair 17 days hence? How can the future both exist and not exist?" Loy provides a possible answer. He believes that reality is a giant hologram, and in it the past, present, and future are indeed fixed, at least up to a point. The rub is that it is not the only hologram. There are many such holographic entities floating in the timeless and spaceless waters of the implicate, jostling and swimming around one another like so many amoebas. Such holographic entities could also be visualized as parallel worlds or parallel universes, says Loy. Thus, the future of any given holographic universe is predetermined, and when a person has a precognitive glimpse of the future, they are tuning into the future of that particular hologram only. But like amoebas, these holograms also occasionally swallow and engulf each other, melding and bifurcating like the protoplasmic globs of energy that they really are. Bohm's and Loy's descriptions seem to be two different ways of trying to express the same thing, a view of the future as a hologram that is substantive enough for us to perceive it, but malleable enough to be susceptible to change. Others have used still different words to sum up what appears to be the same basic thought. Cordero describes the future as a hurricane that is beginning to form and gather momentum, becoming more concrete and unavoidable as it approaches. Ingo Swann, a gifted psychic who has produced impressive results in various studies, including Puthoff and Targ's remote viewing research, speaks of the future as composed of crystallizing possibilities. The Hawaiian kahunas, widely esteemed for their precognitive powers, also speak of the future as fluid, but in the process of crystallizing, and believe that great world events are crystallized furthest in advance, as are the most important events in a person's life, such as marriage, accidents, and death. David Hawkins wrote, "Time, then, is much like a hologram that already stands complete. It's a subjective sensory effect of a progressively moving point of view. There's no beginning or end to a hologram. It's already everywhere complete. In fact, the appearance of being unfinished is part of its completeness. Even the phenomenon of unfoldment itself reflects a limited point of view. There is no enfolded and unfolded universe, only a becoming awareness. Our perception of events happening in time is analogous to a traveler watching the landscape unfold before him. But to say that the landscape unfolds before the traveler is merely a figure of speech. Nothing is actually unfolding. Nothing is actually becoming manifest. There's only the progression of awareness. In fact, this is a holographic universe. Each point of view reflects a position that's defined by the viewer's unique level of consciousness. A hologram, we might say, is in and of itself a process. There's nothing fixed in a three-dimensional hologram. And what then of a four-dimensional hologram? It would include all possible instances of itself simultaneously. To change seems to be to move through time. But if time itself is transcended, then there's no such thing as sequence. If all is now, there's nothing to follow from here to there.
I was just mumbling. Anyway, I didn't say anything important. Angela Baby Carson, Scott Levelround, Bearsworth. I'm giving a shout out real quick. Daryl. GT 1982 Mustang. So yeah, I gotta get out of here because I'm working on some music. On the I'm working. We got a ton of music coming out. We got the Flat Earth Farms Horizon coming up. We got a bunch of songs coming out. Me and Super Sidewinder, Jam Depot, we're banging them out. All different styles. We don't even care anymore. We're just doing everything. We're gonna turn everything into a truther song. We need people to help us, musicians, people that can, women that can sing, men that can sing, people with ideas for songs, lyrics. Anyone who wants to help, talk to Mr. Super Sidewinder because it's his thing. But I helped start it, and I'm playing on a lot of the songs, but I'm not playing on every song. I pick and choose which ones I want to play on. I have that creative freedom with him where I could just say, hey, I want to play on that song, and he'll let me do it. So I don't have to play on every song, but the idea is this with Jam Depot. We even have a logo for it. I mean, I've been doing a few streams about it, but the idea is this. Jam Depot. Where is it at? Jam Depot. Okay. The idea is this. I noticed that everybody on YouTube has all these different channels where people play music by themselves. Like, doesn't get you much attention. They're usually really good, but nobody pays attention. So if we get all these people together making music as a band, like different bands, like we could build different bands out of the group. Like we'll see who fits where, then maybe we can get some attention because, there'll be like 6 or 7 big names on a song and there's no way you'll be able to ignore it anymore, So like, that's the plan. I'm going to come out with some really loud stuff. Like that's my thing. Like I'm going to do some real heavy truther, like metal, like that's my new thing. Like I did a little bit of grunge and punk rock with Christian, but I want to do some real hardcore truther stuff. Something that's going to blow your balls off, basically. Like something like you've never heard any other truther do. I'm getting ready. I'm working on it. But me and Super Sidewinder, we're just doing like this thing on the side where we're just trying to get more people involved. And the more musicians, the merrier, because once we get a workflow going, he has a server set up. It uploads in like 2 seconds. Whatever you do, boom, put it right up there. And then like other people will get right on it. And then like next thing you know, we'll have songs just coming out of Jam Depot. And it's a nod to the Mandela effect because it's like Jam Depot. If you play it, they will listen. whatever. If you want to be involved, let me know. Just putting the word out there for Mr. Super. It's his thing. It's Super Cyber. I did it for him. But, you know, he's the engineer. But, like, whatever. You know? I just want to play on some songs. It's all good. But we're working on some good stuff. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be tremendous. It's gonna be wonderful. We have the most top, wonderful, tremendous people in their fields, the musical field, working together from the truther community. I know it's gonna be the calm before the storm. This is the calm before the storm. All right, thank you, everybody. I love yous.
Hey, young world, wanna hear a story? How's it feel to be overlooked, underrated, and hated? Stomach pains in the belly of a city hungry. If one of us made it to prominence, is a mentality of crabs in a barrel. Reality is pretty ugly. But let's back up, cause my story ain't a fairy tale, it's really real. Ain't had a chance, I ain't have nothing, I could barely fail. All I had was these neighborhoods I know very well. In a 5 wheel, some pages in my diary I would spill. Lyrics on my paper, violence around me, it's on me. I blindly fill my books like a zombie. Measuring these stories with my bare hands. Pictures of this grimy game. I style it like a pilot in a kamikaze plane. A decade of paying dues, now I'm a grown man. I live my life holding death inside my own hands. The kids that I grew up with locked up are inside a box. There ain't no running here, your only choice is fight a box. The music pushed me through, the ghosts is in the hall. Toast is in the dope sickness, ferociousness and all. The hopelessness of watching overdoses in the horror. Suicides and murders, I can't take this shit no more. I had these posters on my wall and this music in my room. It took me out my world, it would shoot me to the moon. Use a fire burning, I'm determined from this high. Learning, put me on a different road. Engine revving, tires turning. Ever since I'm 7, I just know where I gotta go. Trapped in this vicious stone, but I'm back, this is home. They say I could have been a star, but I lost my logic. My heart is hotter than the bricks in a Boston project.